Chapter 216. However, something unexpected happened at this moment. Gu Yuna stared at Lu Yuan with her purple eyes as she spoke. Lu Yuan was confused. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Gu Yuna didn't notice Lu Yuan's expression and continued, "When the second golden dragon died, only Di Tian, Bai Ji, and I were present. We all thought that there wouldn't be anyone with the pure golden dragon's bloodline in this world after the second golden dragon died, and we were all very sad. It's not easy to pass down the bloodline of the dragons, and too many pure dragon bloodlines have already been lost. It would be a pity if the golden dragon's bloodline, which is of the highest quality, was also lost." However, a streak of purple light suddenly descended from the sky as if it had sensed our thoughts. This purple light was extremely noble, and possessed a supreme aura that I've never felt before. This aura made my heart tremble, and that was the first time I've felt such an aura. It was definitely far beyond the godly king level. At that time, the purple light completely enveloped the second-generation golden dragon. As the purple light shone, the second-generation golden dragon's scattered bloodline actually began to slowly gather again. Later on, when the purple light dissipated, the second-generation golden dragon was indeed dead, but a young human infant appeared where it was. His body had extremely dense fluctuations of the golden dragon's bloodline. "That infant was you." Gu Yuna stared at Lu Yuan with her purple eyes as she spoke. "So that's how my golden dragon's bloodline came about." After hearing Gu Yuna's words, Lu Yuan's heart was in turmoil. He had always wondered when his golden dragon's bloodline had come about, and he didn't expect it to be here. As for that purple light, Lu Yuan didn't have to think to know that it must have come from that stupid system. No wonder he saw the 100-year saber-toothed lightning tiger when he opened his eyes. He was actually born in the Great Star Do Forest. You were still young back then, and you looked like a human baby. We didn't know how to raise a human child, and I thought about it for a long time. In the end, I asked Di Tian to place you outside the Great Star Do Forest. I thought that if someone passed by, they would take you away and raise you. Now, it seems like I was right." Gu Yuna smiled and said. Lu Yuan's mouth twitched. "You still have the nerve to say that? Even if you want to release me, you should release me further away. You can even release me in a human town. You actually left me at the outskirts of the Great Star Do Forest. If not for the fellows, I would have been eaten by the saber-toothed lightning tiger a long time ago. How can you still see me now?" This Di Tian fellow was truly unreliable. He would definitely give him a good beating in the future. He had almost caused yours truly to lose his life. Lu Yuan said angrily in his heart. "Now you know where your bloodline came from, right? You may look like a human right now, but you possess the purest second-generation golden dragon bloodline. You're still a member of our dragon race," Gu Yuna said. Don't treat me as a member of the dragon race. I really can't afford to get involved in the muddy waters of the dragon race." Lu Yuan muttered in his heart, but he didn't say it out loud. There were only a few powerful dragons in the dragon race, and they were even enemies with the gods in the god realm. Lu Yuan didn't want to get involved in such muddy waters. He could unify the entire continent and just beat up little Tang San. Did he have to get involved with the dragon race and become enemies with the gods in the god realm? Lu Yuan didn't want to do something so strenuous and unrewarding. However, he finally understood what this stupid system meant when it said that he owed a karmic debt, and he needed a life spirit crystal to repay it. He had stolen the second-generation golden dragon bloodline, and the karmic debt between him and the dragon race was huge. It just so happened that Gu Yuna was injured. Wasn't this life spirit crystal the best thing to use to settle the karmic debt? This damn system's arrangements were really thorough. "Alright, I got it. So why did you call me here?" Lu Yuan asked. "I just wanted to see you." Gu Yuna blinked and said. "Do you think I'll believe you?" Lu Yuan rolled his eyes. Hee hee. Gu Yuna laughed lightly, and then her face became serious and said, "Our dragon race is declining now, and as a member of the dragon race, we have to work hard for the rise of the dragon race. You have the purest golden dragon bloodline, and our dragon race needs your strength. I knew you must have something to ask me. Lu Yuan sighed, found a clean place, and sat down. Gu Yuna blinked her eyes, and actually walked to Lu Yuan's side and sat down. A delicate fragrance from Gu Yuna's body entered Lu Yuan's nose. Looking at Gu Yuna's perfect face, Lu Yuan said, "With my current strength, I can't help you, right? I didn't say I need your help now." Gu Yuna laughed. "With your current talent and strength, I think you will be able to reach D Tion's level in at most a few decades, and you are different from us. Although you have the bloodline of the dragon race, you are still a human, and those gods will not reject you. With your talent, it should not be difficult for you to become a god. At that time, you will be able to help us. Moreover, if I'm not wrong, you already have divine power in your body, a bit like the sea god's power of the vast ocean. There is also another type of power, but it doesn't seem to have any attributes, which is a bit strange," Gu Yuna said with a smile. Hearing this, Lu Yuan glanced at Gu Yuna. As expected of the Silver Dragon King, her eyesight was not ordinary, nothing could be hidden from her, but since she could not hide it, there was no need to hide it. Lu Yuan waved his right hand, and the vast ocean heaven cover appeared in his hand. "Do you recognize this thing? Sea God's heart? As expected, you have been chosen by the Sea God." The corner of Gu Yuna's mouth revealed a trace of a smile, and said, "I already said that with your talent it would not be difficult for you to become a god, but this position of the Sea God is still a little lacking." Although the Sea God was a first-tier god, in the eyes of Gu Yuna, who was comparable to a divine king, it was still a little low. "I didn't say that I would inherit the position of the Sea God." Lu Yuan took back the Sea God's heart. "I have my own path to walk." "Could it be that you are valued by other gods? More powerful than the Sea God, could it be a divine king? Which divine king is it? Or are you preparing to create your own divine position?" Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan curiously, with a questioning look in her eyes. Although she hated the gods of the divine realm, if there was a divine king who was willing to pass down his divine position to Lu Yuan, who was one of their own, she would not mind. After all, that way, it would be the power of the dragon race that would be strong. If one were to talk about creating their own divine position, then creating a divine king-level divine position would still be somewhat difficult. As such, Gu Yuna was still quite curious about the path that Lu Yuan was going to walk. Lu Yuan fell silent for a moment upon hearing this and then said, "If I don't want to tell you now, will you be angry?" Gu Yuna faltered slightly upon hearing this and said, "No, it's normal to have your own secrets. As long as you are doing it for the good of the dragon race, I don't mind you having your own secrets." Chapter 217. Hearing this, Lu Yuan was silent. Suddenly, he looked at Gu Yuna and said, if I'm not willing to work for the dragon race, can I get out alive today?" Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Gu Yuna narrowed her eyes and stared at Lu Yuan with her purple eyes. "Guess." Her voice was calm, as if there were no fluctuations in her emotions, but it made Lu Yuan's heart tremble. The calmer it was, the more dangerous it was. Lu Yuan sighed and said, "Sigh, I'm born to be busy. Everything has to be done on me." There was already a martial soul palace, and Lu Yuan was the disciple of the Pope and the boyfriend of the Saintess, so he had to unify the continent. Now that he was involved in the karma of the dragon race, he couldn't get rid of it. He had to lead the soul beasts to become enemies with the god. He had to do it because the Silver Dragon King was watching him from the side. He was afraid that if he didn't agree, he wouldn't be able to see the sun tomorrow. Sigh, why was his life so bitter? It can't be helped. Who asked you to be the most special existence in our dragon race, and the one most likely to become a god? Other than you, D Tion and the others can't become a god. Our soul beast race must have our own god. Gu Yuna sighed. "Aren't you a god too?" Lu Yuan asked. "But I'm injured and I'm too weak alone. It's impossible for me to counterattack the divine world. If you help me, the pressure will be much less. Gu Yuna said. Sigh, I'm not trying to discourage you, but it's extremely difficult for soul beasts to counterattack the divine world. Back then, even the dragon god failed. Do you think we can do it? Lu Yuan said. If I'm alone, it might be difficult, but with you, I think it's very possible. Back then, that purple light was supreme, and its aura was far more terrifying than a divine king. After that purple light dissipated, you appeared. I'm sure that you must be the savior that the heavens arranged for our dragon race. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan with burning eyes. Is that why you're treating me so nicely? Lu Yuan thought to himself. Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna was the current supreme ruler of the soul beasts, so her aura was definitely extraordinary. However, she was treating him in such a gentle manner, and she had even transformed into her human form upon hearing Lu Yuan's casual mention of his name. It appeared that she had been intimidated by the aura of the system back then, and thus believed that he was the savior of the soul beasts. However, she wasn't wrong. If Lu Yuan could comprehend the profundity of the clear air divine seed and create his own divine seat, he could even surpass the God Kings in one go. At that level, it wouldn't be a problem for him to fight against 5 God Kings alone. It wouldn't be impossible for him to give the Soul Beast clan a chance to shine. Lu Yuan, our dragon tribe really needs you, Gu Yuna said in a soft voice as she looked at Lu Yuan with a hopeful expression. I can promise you that. After all, the blood of the dragon race flows in my veins. I still have to repay this karma. Lu Yuan's tone was indifferent. Was the karma between him and the dragon tribe really something that could be repaid with a life spirit crystal? The answer was no. Over the years, the Golden Dragon Martial Soul and the Golden Dragon Bloodline had helped him a lot. Without the Golden Dragon Martial Soul, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Martial Soul Palace, and he wouldn't have been able to meet his teacher, Bibidon. He also wouldn't have been able to meet Chihiro Snow, Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing. Not to mention winning the heart of a beauty. Of course, he wouldn't have his current strength and status. It could be said that without the Golden Dragon Martial Soul, he wouldn't have everything he had now. How could a mere life spirit crystal compare to this? As long as the Golden Dragon bloodline flowed in his veins, the bond between him and the dragon tribe would always exist. However, I have a condition. If you don't agree, even if you kill me, I won't help you. Lu Yuan said. What condition? Say it. Gu Yuna said. I can work for the dragon tribe, and even give the soul beasts a chance to become gods in the future. However, I have a request. The soul beasts must live in harmony with the human race in the future. They can't take the initiative to start a war. Lu Yuan said. He could give the soul beasts a chance to become gods in the future, but he couldn't allow the soul beasts to be above the human race. No matter what, even if he had the golden dragon bloodline in his veins, he was still a human. Hearing this, Gu Yuna frowned. This is my bottom line, Lu Yuan said indifferently. But how can the human race and the soul beasts live in harmony? As long as a soul master needs a soul ring, the human race and the soul beasts will never live in harmony. Gu Yuna said. This is my business. I have my own considerations. You just have to agree. The fact that a soul master needed a soul ring for cultivation was actually limited by the laws of this world, resulting in this somewhat abnormal cultivation method. Of course, it was also possible that the God realm was behind this in order to weaken the power of the soul beast. After so many years of development, this cultivation method had long been deeply rooted. If one wanted to change the cultivation method of a soul master, perhaps even a divine king couldn't do it. However, Lu Yuan was an exception. Don't forget that the clear air divine seed controlled the power of laws. As long as Lu Yuan comprehended the clear air divine seed, it wasn't impossible for Lu Yuan to achieve this. All right, I promise you. Gu Yuna looked deeply into Lu Yuan's eyes and nodded after a long time. Okay, then I also agree. In this life, I will definitely help you break the seal of the God realm and give all the soul beasts a chance to become gods, Lu Yuan said in a sonorous voice. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan's solemn expression and sighed in relief. Finally, she saw the hope of the soul beasts in Lu Yuan. I have something for you. A faint smile appeared on Gu Yuna's face as she swept a hand through the air, and a shimmering golden spear appeared in her grasp. The spear was around 3 meters in length, and both ends of the spear were as sharp as shuttles. It didn't appear to be made of metal, instead, it appeared to be made of wood. As soon as the spear appeared, Lu Yuan could sense an extremely intimate aura, as if it were naturally compatible with him. Golden Dragon Spear. Lu Yuan accepted the spear from Gu Yuna, and he could sense a burst of elation emanating from the Golden Dragon Spear, as if it were elated to have met him. Looks like it really likes you. If it weren't for the fact that I've been suppressing it all these years, perhaps it would have flown to your side a long time ago. Gu Yuna chuckled at the sight of Lu Yuan's elated expression. Lu Yuan turned to Gu Yuna with an inquisitive look in his eyes upon hearing this. Gu Yuna smiled and said, "The Golden Dragon Spear is an indispensable part of the Golden Dragon, and there is an indescribable connection between the two. As long as the Golden Dragon Spear is with me, you'll come to my side sooner or later. See, you're here now?" Chapter 218. You sure are scheming. Lu Yuan appraised Gu Yuna with a hint of a smile on his face. As expected, the more beautiful a woman was, the more scheming she was. Chihiro Snow was exactly like that. He was extremely scheming and cunning. Gu Yuna was also the same. Even though she knew nothing about love and relationships, her scheming skills were definitely not inferior to his. I had no choice. The human world is so big, and I'm still injured, so it really wasn't convenient for me to find you. As such, I could only think of a way to make you come to me. Gu Yuna said as she looked at Lu Yuan. You won't blame me, will you? Gu Yuna blinked her purple eyes as she looked at Lu Yuan. What do you think? Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna with a smile. I don't think you will. After all, a possessor of the Golden Dragon bloodline wouldn't be so stingy. Gu Yuna chuckled. The corner of Lu Yuan's mouth twitched when he heard that. What else could he say when his words were blocked? This Gu Yuna's eloquence was quite sharp. Lu Yuan couldn't be bothered to bicker with her. Instead, he carefully inspected the Golden Dragon Spear in his hand. According to legend, this Golden Dragon Spear was formed from the 49th rib of the Golden Dragon King. As a descendant of the Golden Dragon King, all golden dragons only had 48 ribs. Legend had it that the Golden Dragon Spear contained the secret to evolving a golden dragon into a Golden Dragon King, but no one knew whether that was true or not. Lu Yuan didn't care whether that was true or not. All he cared about was that he finally had a weapon that was exclusive to him, and this Golden Dragon Spear was definitely the most suitable weapon for him. As he held it in his hand, he felt as if he were in perfect harmony with it. It was as if it had become a part of his body, and he could wield it as he wished. Furthermore, this Golden Dragon Spear could devour the soul power and blood essence of others before converting them into pure energy for him. With this Golden Dragon Spear, he basically didn't have to worry about his combat prowess deteriorating due to a lack of soul power. This Golden Dragon Spear was a genuine divine weapon. Lu Yuan gently waved it through the air. This Golden Dragon Spear seemed to possess the ability to change its own weight, and it was very comfortable in his hand. It was neither too light nor too heavy. With the development of his Golden Dragon bloodline and the enhancement of his physique, as well as his level, Lu Yuan's strength continued to increase. When he was at rank 29, Lu Yuan's strength had just broken through 10,000 kilograms. Now, even without using his martial soul, Lu Yuan's physical strength had already reached 20,000 kilograms. His defensive abilities had also increased significantly. A 15,000-year dark golden Terraclaw bear's soul ring was indeed worthy of its reputation. It almost doubled his strength. Lu Yuan remembered that when Tang San was in the Soul Sect, the clear sky hammer weighed only a few hundred kilograms. In terms of strength, the clear sky hammer was like a little brother in front of him. Even if it was the strength clan that specialized in strength, and even if it was a strength-type soul master of the ultimate style, Lu Yuan would still be able to destroy it with a single punch. Ultimate strength wasn't just for show. He wasn't called the ancestor of power for nothing. With this golden dragon spear, perhaps it won't take long for me to break through to spear intent, Lu Yuan thought to himself. A spear that could harmonize with one's body was extremely important for a spear user. This was because he would be able to better reach the realm of one with the spear, just like the realm of one with the sword in the way of the sword. Becoming one with the spear was actually one of the signs of comprehending spear intent. As long as one could achieve that, comprehending spear intent would only be a matter of time. The appearance of the golden dragon spear would allow Lu Yuan to reach the realm of one with the spear even faster. This was because this was a spear that was most compatible with Lu Yuan, and they naturally resonated with each other. Lu Yuan. Gu Yuna called out softly as she watched Lu Yuan gently wave the golden dragon spear in his hand. After hearing Gu Yuna's voice, Lu Yuan stopped what he was doing and glanced at her. Lu Yuan sighed softly as he looked at Gu Yuna's beautiful figure. Indeed, he couldn't blame her. She was also thinking for the Dragon Clan. He was a man, so he couldn't keep harping on such trivial matters. "How's your body now? Were your injuries really that severe?" Lu Yuan asked in a soft voice as he looked at Gu Yuna. "Yes." Gu Yuna nodded as her beautiful brows furrowed. "During the battle in the Divine Realm, my body was invaded by the Azura God's power of slaughter and the Destruction God's power of destruction, and my injuries have always been very severe. Even though I've been using the pure life force energy of the Lake of Life to recover during these past few years, the powers of slaughter and destruction within my body are very difficult to dispel. I have to use my own divine power to slowly dispel them. However, I'm currently severely injured, and my powers are very low. It'll take a very long time for me to dispel these two types of divine power. I've made a rough estimate that it'll take me at least 20,000 years." Gu Yuna sighed as a hint of exasperation appeared in her eyes. She was only a third-tier god, so it would be extremely difficult for her to dispel the divine power left behind by the God King. As such, she could only waste time. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's expression changed as he finally sighed. Just as he was about to speak, the system's voice suddenly sounded. Ding. Sign in mission completed. Congratulations to host for obtaining a treasure chest. Do you wish to open it? Lu Yuan's eyes moved. Open it. Ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining one of the 9 esoteric word. In a place where only Lu Yuan could see, a light rose up and entered Lu Yuan's mind. Esoteric word? Lu Yuan whispered. He was no stranger to this esoteric word. It was a supreme secret technique of the shrouding the heavens great world. It had a huge miraculous effect on healing injuries. It could be said that with the esoteric word, no matter how severe the injury was, it would be very difficult to die. Being reborn from a drop of blood was not a dream. This esoteric word could do it. Of course, it was possible to do so. However, one would need to study the esoteric character to a certain level to have such an effect. For beginners, unless it was a fatal injury like an explosion in the brain or a ruptured heart, other injuries such as a broken arm, even if they had only learned a little bit of it, would be a small problem for them to recover. But why did the system reward me with the esoteric word? One had to know that the esoteric word's main effect was to heal injuries. It was important for a long battle, but it couldn't directly increase one's battle strength, because it wasn't a great offensive skill. The truly powerful offensive skill should be the esoteric word of the 9 esoteric word. That was the true invincible existence. But Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna in front of him and had a guess in his heart. Dog system, you're really good to this silver dragon king Gu Yuna. Tell me, did you want me to give this esoteric word to her? System, I knew you wouldn't answer. But even if you did, I wouldn't give it to her right now. At the very least, I would give it to Xiao Shui and the others first. Lu Yuan secretly said. Chihiro Snow and the others were his women. This kind of thing naturally had to be given to his own people first. After all, there was a difference between close and distant. Chapter 219. The esoteric character was extremely profound, and it wasn't something that could be comprehended in a short period of time. Lu Yuan had no intention of imparting it to anyone for the time being. At the very least, he had to learn it himself first. After he learned it, he was going to impart it to Chihiro Snow, Hulina, Zhu Zhuqing, and of course Bibidan. As for Gu Yuna, even though they were getting along quite well, they had only known each other for a short period of time, so she was still an outsider in Lu Yuan's heart. Once she gained Lu Yuan's approval, then Lu Yuan naturally wouldn't be stingy with this esoteric character. However, Lu Yuan wasn't going to take the Golden Dragon Spear and not do anything about it. He would repay the karma of the Golden Dragon bloodline by giving the Soul Beast a chance to become a god. As for the Golden Dragon Spear, he would also repay it with a Life Spirit Crystal. He never liked to owe anyone anything. As for the esoteric character, he still hadn't found a reason to give it to Gu Yuna. He didn't need a reason to give something to someone close to him, but he still needed a reason to give something as precious as this to an outsider. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face as he looked at Gu Yuna's exquisite features. I have something here that might be able to help with your injuries. Gu Yuna blinked her beautiful eyes as she smiled. What is it? Lu Yuan opened his palm, and a jade-green crystal appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. It was exuding rich life spirit energy. It was life spirit energy, not life energy. The difference between the two was as vast as the difference between divine power and soul power. This is a life spirit crystal, Gu Yuna exclaimed with a hint of surprise in her eyes. She didn't think that Lu Yuan would have something like this. How is it? This should be very useful for your injuries, right? Lu Yuan chuckled. Yes. This life spirit crystal contains the purest life spirit qi, as well as the power of the laws of life. It'll be very beneficial to my injuries, and with this life spirit crystal, I'll be able to make a full recovery in 50 years at most, Gu Yuna said with a hint of elation in her voice. Is that so? Here you go. Lu Yuan threw the life crystal to Gu Yuna. Be careful. Gu Yuna gave Lu Yuan a reproachful look and quickly took the life crystal. Gu Yuna appraised it for a moment before stowing it away. How did you get this life crystal? Gu Yuna's eyes were filled with curiosity. One had to know that the life crystal was the most precious treasure of the goddess of life. Ordinary gods couldn't get their hands on it. She didn't expect Lu Yuan to have it. Back then, I went to the ruins of the goddess of life and obtained this spirit crystal of life. I originally wanted to use it, but I always had a premonition in my heart that this thing was very important and might be of great use, so I kept it. I didn't expect that it would really come in handy today, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan with a hint of gratitude in her eyes. With this life spirit crystal of life, she would be able to recover from her injuries much faster. In 50 years at most, she would be able to return as the Silver Dragon King with power comparable to a godly monarch. There's no need for that. Didn't you give me your golden dragon spear? I don't like owing people things, Lu Yuan said. No, the golden dragon spear was originally yours, so I'm the one who owes you now, Gu Yuna said in a serious manner. The golden dragon spear belonged to the golden dragon, and Lu Yuan had the bloodline of the second-generation golden dragon, so she was merely returning Lu Yuan's possession to him. Do as you wish. Lu Yuan waved a hand at the sight of Gu Yuna's serious expression, and he didn't seem to care at all. However, He was actually quite happy that Gu Yuna knew how to be grateful. This meant that she was a grateful person. No, she was a grateful dragon. However, Lu Yuan had to admit that the relationship between soul beasts was indeed more genuine and purer. Gratitude was gratitude, unlike the human race, where there were many ungrateful people. It had to be said that this was one of the advantages soul beasts had over humans. Soul beasts didn't plot and scheme against one another. Gu Yuna had only taken the golden dragon's spear because she wanted to see him. She didn't harbor any ill will toward him. She was doing this for the sake of the entire soul beast race. She was actually a very nice dragon. In reality, Lu Yuan was extremely intelligent, but he didn't like to plot against others. He had only done so much for the sake of Chihiro's snow and the martial soul palace. Otherwise, with his personality, he would have loved to be a lone wolf. As long as you don't provoke me, I can't be bothered with you. However, Lu Yuan wasn't destined to be a lone wolf anymore. Whether it was the martial soul palace or the mission of the dragon race, Lu Yuan couldn't help but think about these things. Helping the martial soul palace unify the continent was for the sake of their relationship. Fighting for a chance for soul beasts to become gods was for the sake of their karma and promise. Since he had promised Gu Yuna, he had to fulfill his promise. He might be very powerful now, but the martial soul palace, Long Xiaoyao and Gu Yuna, who could barely be considered an ally, were all very powerful. However, his potential opponents were also extraordinarily powerful. The two great empires, the upper three sects, Tang San, and the various gods of the god realm could really be said to be enemies with the entire world. But so what? This ignited Lu Yuan's ambition. The greater the challenge, the more interested he was. Furthermore, his greatest advantage now was that none of his potential opponents knew his true identity. This gave him a chance to divide them and sow discord. In fact, if he inherited a god's godly position in the future, that god might not even know that he was their enemy. Thinking about it carefully, it was actually quite interesting. Lu Yuan revealed a smile on his face as he thought about it. Lu Yuan retracted his thoughts and turned to Gu Yuna. Is there anything else you want to tell me? No. Gu Yuna's voice sounded. Then send me out. Lu Yuan said softly. Why? Do you not want to stay with me that much? Gu Yuna asked. Of course not. I've already said that I'm obsessed with looks. You're also so beautiful. Why wouldn't I want to stay with you? It's just that one of my subordinates is injured, and I want to go out and take a look. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna and smiled. If that's the case, I'll get Di Tian to send you out. Gu Yuna blushed as Lu Yuan stared at her. Okay. Lu Yuan nodded. Gu Yuna immediately called for Di Tian when she saw this. Di Tian's black figure appeared and brought Lu Yuan out of this strange space. Gu Yuna was the only one left in this place. As she watched the two of them leave, Gu Yuna recalled the shy feeling she felt when Lu Yuan stared at her. She couldn't help but murmur, what exactly is this feeling? Also, what is the like that he mentioned? Why did he say that he admires my beauty, but doesn't like me? I really don't understand. Gu Yuna was puzzled. Chapter 220. Lu Yuan and Di Tian's figures slowly appeared beside the Lake of Life. As he looked at the golden dragon spear in Lu Yuan's hand, Di Tian said, It seems like you had a good conversation with my master. She actually gave it to you. It was a good conversation. Furthermore, this golden dragon spear can only be used by those with the golden dragon's bloodline. Isn't it normal for her to give it to me? Lu Yuan said. That's true. Di Tian laughed. What did my master say to you? Di Tian looked at Lu Yuan and was a little curious. Even he wasn't qualified to listen in on the conversation between Gu Yuna and Lu Yuan. How could he not be curious about what they were talking about? He didn't dare to ask Gu Yuna, but he wanted to get some answers from Lu Yuan. Do you want to know? Lu Yuan looked at Di Tian. Yes. Di Tian nodded. Why don't you ask her yourself? Lu Yuan asked. My master doesn't want me to know, and I don't dare to ask her. Di Tian sighed and said. I see. Lu Yuan laughed and said, since she doesn't want you to know, I can't tell you either. You rascal! Di Tian scolded him. The two of them quickly rushed back. There were already several huge soul beasts gathered in Di Tian's territory. Lu Yuan and Di Tian arrived. Elder Long, are you all right? Lu Yuan didn't care about the other unfamiliar soul beasts as he walked straight towards Long Xiaoyao. My master, I'm fine now. It's all thanks to Miss Bai Ji's help, Long Xiaoyao said. Lu Yuan looked at Long Xiaoyao. The claw marks on his body had already recovered, and only his clothes were a little damaged. It seemed like he had recovered a little. Thank you, Elder Bai Ji. Lu Yuan turned around and thanked Bai Ji. Don't mention it, it's only right. It's Bear Lord's fault. Bicky smiled gently, her eyes filled with kindness. She was also aware of Lu Yuan's background. Lu Yuan nodded slightly. He had a good impression of Bai Ji, who was the strongest healing-type soul beast. She was one of the few soul beasts that was sensible and kind. Although Lu Yuan himself wasn't very kind, he still had a bottom line. At the very least, he wouldn't do something like massacring a city. And it was precisely because he couldn't be kind and friendly to everyone that he admired Bicky even more. A hint of joy flashed across Di Tian's face when he saw Lu Yuan and Bai Ji chatting happily. It seemed like Lu Yuan and soul beasts were getting along quite well. In fact, even if Gu Yuna and Lu Yuan didn't say anything to Di Tian was still able to guess something with his intelligence. He was also an existence that was half a step into the realm of God. 10 years ago, the supreme pressure contained within the purple light was definitely an existence that far surpassed that of a god. Di Tian was also well aware of this point. As for the Master Gu Yuna's plans, Di Tian could also make some guesses. He rolled his eyes and looked at the few ferocious beasts present. He then waved at Lu Yuan. What's the matter? Lu Yuan was puzzled as he looked at Di Tian. However, he still walked to his side. Di Tian looked at the few huge savage beasts in front of him and said, I'll introduce all of you to each other today. Everyone can get familiar with each other so that we can cooperate better in the future. Lu Yuan looked at the savage beasts in front of him. The savage beasts were also looking at Lu Yuan. They were sizing him up. They didn't know why Di Tian was introducing a human to them. This is Bai Ji. Her original form is a 500,000-year-old emerald swan. I think you should already know her, Di Tian said to Lu Yuan. Yes. Lu Yuan nodded. This good-for-nothing is the Bear Lord. He's a 400,000-year-old dark golden terraclaw bear. I think you should already know him, Di Tian said. I do know him. Who doesn't know the Bear Lord who hurts people behind their backs? Lu Yuan said as he twisted his mouth. You! The Bear Lord glared furiously at Lu Yuan with his huge yellow eyes. He lifted his claws, and seemed like he was about to attack. Oh! Long Xiaoyao snorted coldly. He moved and appeared in front of Lu Yuan. His aura as an ultimate Douluo suppressed the Bear Lord. There was a strong killing intent in his eyes. Oh! The remaining savage beasts turned serious when they sensed Long Xiaoyao's aura. This human's aura wasn't much weaker than Di Tian's. Bear Lord! Di Tian glared at the Bear Lord with his golden eyes. There was a deep chill in his eyes. The Bear Lord's body shook as he was suppressed by two ultimate Douluos. He slowly lowered his claws and lowered his head. Humph! Long Xiaoyao snorted coldly when he saw this scene. He retreated to Lu Yuan's side. Di Tian heaved a sigh of relief and continued his introduction. This is the Myriad Demon King. His cultivation has reached 500,000 years. His original form is a demonic eye tree. Lu Yuan nodded when he heard this. He knew a little about the Myriad Demon King. He should be the most powerful plant-type soul beast on the Douluo continent. He was much stronger than Tang San's mother, the Blue-Silver Emperor. This is the Scarlet King. He's a 290,000-year three-headed scarlet devil hound. Lu Yuan looked over and nodded. The Scarlet King was equivalent to a rank 97 titled Douluo. He was slightly weaker than a rank 98 titled Douluo, but he was still much more powerful than the Sky Azure Bull Python. After all, the Sky Azure Bull Python was only comparable to a rank 96 titled Douluo. There was a huge gap between each rank above the transcendent Douluo level. The last one is ZG. She's a 200,000-year, demonic infernal dragon monarch. Lu Yuan interrupted before Di Tian could finish his sentence. You know her? Di Tian turned to Lu Yuan with a curious look. I don't know her, but she has a strong dragon bloodline in her body. I can feel it, but it's a pity that her bloodline is not pure. Lu Yuan looked at the only ferocious beast in human form and said, ZG had transformed into a woman. She had a head of long purple hair, and an extremely voluptuous figure. She had a wild charm that was completely different from Bicky. I can also sense the bloodline in your body. It's a very pure dragon bloodline. It seems to be even purer than Di Tian's. ZG heard Lu Yuan's words. She looked at Lu Yuan and said indifferently, Hearing ZG's words, even the Bear Lord, Thousand Goblin King, Red King, and the other ferocious beasts looked at Lu Yuan. This kid actually had a dragon bloodline that was even purer than Di Tian's. Di Tian was the current leader of the Black Dragon race, and he possessed the purest Black Dragon bloodline. How was this kid superior to him? Ahem. Di Tian cleared his throat at the sight of the great beasts and said, Let me introduce Lu Yuan to all of you. He's a golden dragon in human form, and he possesses the purest golden dragon bloodline. He's also the one with the purest golden dragon bloodline in our dragon race. Lu Yuan. Chapter 221. A few black lines appeared on Lu Yuan's forehead as he looked at the eloquent Di Tian. When did he transform into a golden dragon? The reason why you can't see his true form is because Master has done something to his body. Even though his cultivation is still low and he's still in his infancy, you still can't see his true form. He's actually not a human. He's a dragon. Furthermore, he's a golden dragon. Di Tian's voice was impassioned, but Lu Yuan's face couldn't help but twitch. Di Tian with thick eyebrows and big eyes, how dare you lie through your teeth? When did he transform into a golden dragon? He's clearly a human. Lu Yuan was grumbling in his heart. However, he could somewhat guess what Di Tian was thinking. The relationship between humans and soul beasts wasn't good these days. Although it hadn't reached the climax of the Fighting 2 era, soul beasts were still very wary of humans. Even if a human had the bloodline of a dragon, it was basically impossible for him to fuse with a soul beast. Di Tian said this because he wanted Huo Yuhao to completely fuse with a soul beast. After all, even if a soul beast transformed into a human, it was still a soul beast. In this way, other soul beasts wouldn't resist him. After all, they were still of the same species. However, even though he understood, Lu Yuan was still a little unhappy when someone said that he was a golden dragon. How could a mere dragon compare to a human? Humans were the wisest of all creatures. They were born with natural Tao bodies. Wasn't it better to be a human than a dragon? However, Di Tian's words were most likely not his idea. It was probably Gu Yuna's idea. After all, even though Di Tian was smart, he couldn't have thought of such things. Only Gu Yuna could have thought of such things. You really want to tie me to a dragon? Huo Yuhao didn't know how he felt about Gu Yuna anymore. She was very innocent at times, but she was also very scheming at other times. The key was that she schemed against him, but she didn't have any ill intentions. Instead, Lu Yuan couldn't even find a reason to be angry. AI, this is the real reason why I don't want to give you the esoteric character. I am still afraid of you. Lu Yuan sighed. Gu Yuna was far too powerful, and he was far too weak. Even though Gu Yuna had promised him that soul beasts wouldn't initiate a war with humans, Lu Yuan was still skeptical. This was because he couldn't do anything to Gu Yuna, nor did he have any means to prevent or cure her. For Lu Yuan, who was used to having everything under control, this was undoubtedly an extremely difficult thing to accept. Therefore, he wanted to become stronger as soon as possible. At the same time, he didn't want Gu Yuna's strength to increase too much. Without the secret character, even with the life spirit crystal, Gu Yuna would need at least 50 years to recover her God King level strength. In 50 years, Lu Yuan would have long become a god. He might even have comprehended clear Qi divine power and created his own deity position. When that happened, no matter how strong Gu Yuna was, he would have the ability to control everything. As Lu Yuan was thinking, the few savage beasts couldn't help but turn to look at Lu Yuan after hearing Di Tian's words. Their eyes were filled with shock, and they didn't reject him anymore. After all, according to Di Tian, this youth in front of them was the same as them. They were all soul beasts. Naturally, they weren't as afraid of Lu Yuan as they were of humans. Even the anger in the Bear Lord's eyes dissipated after hearing Di Tian's words. So you're actually a golden dragon in human form. No wonder your bloodline is purer than Di Tian's. Ziji looked at Lu Yuan with a strange look in her eyes. The golden dragon was one of the two purest bloodlines in the dragon race. It was of a higher grade than all the other dragon bloodlines. The silver dragon had disappeared a long time ago, and the golden dragon's bloodline was also very thin. They thought that the pure golden dragon's bloodline was long gone, and only a small portion of the golden dragon's bloodline was left. They didn't expect to see a golden dragon in human form today. The few savage beasts were astonished. Furthermore, the lord that Di Tian mentioned had used her own methods to conceal her identity. This was even more unusual. The lord that Di Tian mentioned was the supreme ruler of all soul beasts. Since she had personally taken action, did this mean that this youth had some important mission? This was very likely the case. The few savage beasts immediately thought of many things. As for whether Di Tian would lie, the few savage beasts didn't doubt him at all. Di Tian was the strongest savage beast, and he didn't like to lie. Just based on the fact that Di Tian mentioned the Lord, the few savage beasts were certain that Di Tian was telling the truth. This was because Di Tian was very loyal to the Lord, and he wouldn't use the Lord to lie. However, what the ferocious beasts didn't know was that Di Tian was actually lying. Furthermore, it was their master who had ordered Di Tian to say this. I'll announce something to everyone here. This is also an order from the Lord. From today onwards, Lu Yuan is the Great Star Do Forest's most important guest. All soul beasts have to bow to him when they see him, including 100,000-year soul beast. Therefore, all of you should understand what I mean. Di Tian looked at the few savage beasts. Understood. The few savage beasts nodded. Since this was an order from both the Lord and Di Tian, they had to carry it out even if they weren't willing. After all, Di Tian was the boss of the Great Star Do Forest. Fists were still the most useful thing in this day and age. Furthermore, a golden dragon with a pure bloodline had a very high status. He was qualified to make 100,000-year soul beasts bow to him. Since all of you understand, then go back first. Greet the fellows in your tribes and territories. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude if anyone offends Lu Yuan in the future. Di Tian said. Yes. After hearing Di Tian's words, the few savage beasts retreated one after another. Only Ziji was still sizing up Lu Yuan with a curious look in her eyes before she left. As a member of the Dragon Clan, she had been interested in the Golden Dragon Clan, which was the most powerful clan in the Dragon Clan, for a very long time. However, today wasn't a good time to interact with him. If there was a chance in the future, she wanted to get closer to Lu Yuan. The few savage beasts left, including the Bear Lord. Only Lu Yuan, Long Xiaoyao, Di Tian, Bai Ji, and the two guardian savage beasts were left. Sky Azure Bull Python, Titan Giant Ape, come over! Di Tian waved his hand. The two soul beasts came over eagerly. Although they were 100,000-year soul beasts, they were really just little brothers in the core region. Normally, when Tian and the others didn't come out, the two of them could still show off. However, when Tian and the other savage beasts came out, they were in an awkward position. They could only guard the door. Chapter 222. Each and every one of these great beasts had over 200,000 years of cultivation, which meant that each and every one of them was comparable to a rank 97 titled Douluo, which meant that they were far more powerful than the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape. The Sky Azure Bull Python was slightly more powerful, but it only had a cultivation base of over 100,000 years, which was a far cry from these great beasts. From now on, the two of you are Lu Yuan's subordinates. You'll do whatever he tells you to do, understood? Tian said. Yes, Master Tian. The Sky Azure Bull Python lowered its massive head in acknowledgement. The Titan Giant Ape threw its head back and roared before slapping its own chest in a gesture of submission. Is this all right, Tian? Lu Yuan's brows furrowed as he appraised Tian. This was an organization of soul beasts. Was it really all right to hand it over to him? Furthermore, if he were to do this, he would definitely become even more entangled with the soul beasts. This is Master's will. Tian replied with a smile. Is it her idea? Lu Yuan was silent for a moment, then sighed slightly and said, Then I'll accept it. Gu Yuna, you sure have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. Master. The Sky Azure Bull Python lowered its head slightly toward Lu Yuan as it extended a salute. It wasn't all that opposed to becoming Lu Yuan's subordinate. What it pursued the most in its life was to become a dragon, and the Golden Dragon was one of the most powerful beings in the dragon race. Even if it did become a dragon, it would still be inferior to Lu Yuan, so it was quite willing to submit to Lu Yuan. The Titan Giant Ape patted its chest before lowering its head. It had always followed the Sky Azure Bull Python's lead, and since the latter had submitted, it would naturally submit as well. Can this Titan Giant Ape not speak? Lu Yuan asked. It can, but it's not very proficient at speaking, the Sky Azure Bull Python replied. I see. Then you have to teach it more in the future. Otherwise, if it keeps roaring, I won't be able to understand it. Lu Yuan said. Yes, Master, the Sky Azure Bull Python replied. A thought seemed to have occurred to Lu Yuan, and a thought suddenly occurred to him as he said, Oh, by the way, I encountered a 100,000-year-old soft bone rabbit in the human world. Her name is Xiao Wu. I'm sure you know her, right? Master, have you seen Xiao Wu? How is Xiao Wu doing? The Sky Azure Bull Python's voice was tinged with a hint of urgency, and its eyes were filled with concern. The Titan Giant Ape's ears also perked up. You guys seem to care a lot about her, but you don't have to worry. She's still very safe, but… Lu Yuan paused. But what? The Sky Azure Bull Python hurriedly asked. Tang, Azure Bull Tang, the Sky Azure Bull, Tang Tang Tang, the Sky Azure Dragon Tang Tang, the Sky Azure Beast Tang Tang, Tang Tang to the Sky Azure Tang 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 Tangs Tang 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 Tangs Tangs Tang 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 Tangs Tang 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 Tangs Tang and Tang Tang Tang. The Titan Giant Ape let loose an enraged roar with a hint of indignation. Tang San has a father by the name of Tang Hao, and he's a titled Douluo, so… Lu Yuan purposely took a glance at the Sky Azure Bull Python as he spoke. Titled Douluo? A hint of concern appeared in the Sky Azure Bull Python's eyes. It knew that Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year-old soft bone rabbit. Normal people wouldn't be able to see through her, but a titled Douluo would definitely be able to identify her. The soul ring and soul bone of a 100,000-year-old soul beast were extremely tempting to humans. If that Tang Hao had any ill intentions toward Xiao Wu, then there was no way that Xiao Wu would be able to survive. My lord, please help us. As long as you can guarantee Xiao Wu's safety, the two of us will be loyal to you for the rest of our lives. Our lives are yours. The Sky Azure Bull Python prostrated itself on the ground. The Titan giant ape also fell to its knees before kowtowing to Lu Yuan. The two overlords of the forest were begging Lu Yuan for the sake of a 100,000-year-old rabbit. Xiao Wu, you're so lucky. Even Lu Yuan couldn't help but be moved by the feelings that these two overlords had for Xiao Wu. However, that being said, he still had to do what he had to do. Don't worry, Tang Hao and I have some bad blood between us. Besides, we're from the same race, so I'll be sure to protect Xiao Wu. On top of that, Tang Hao wants Xiao Wu to become his son's soul ring. After all, Tang Hao is already a titled Douluo, so he doesn't need a soul ring. Tang San's soul power is still quite low, so Xiao Wu isn't in any danger yet, so don't worry. Lu Yuan said. Then I'll leave Xiao Wu to you, master. The Sky Azure Bull Python said in a grateful manner. Don't worry about it. Seeing as you're my subordinates, I have to be considerate of you. Lu Yuan said with a smile. According to the information that I've received, Xiao Wu will be coming to the Great Star Do Forest with Tang San in about 2 years. You can bring Xiao Wu back to the Great Star Do Forest. Won't you be able to protect her then? In the meantime, I'll send some of my subordinates in the human world to protect Xiao Wu. Lu Yuan continued. Thank you, master, the Sky Azure Bull Python said with a grateful nod. The Titan giant ape was also kowtowing to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan couldn't help but heave a faint sigh at the sight of these two overlords. Both of these mythological beasts treated Xiao Wu far better than Tang San, but it was a pity that Xiao Wu didn't know how to cherish her. Instead, she fell in love with that hypocritical Tang San. There was no actual conflict between him and Tang San, but there was no turning back for the enmity between Tang San and the Martial Soul Palace. For the sake of the Martial Soul Palace, Lu Yuan could only set things up in advance to target him. Furthermore, in the original work, Tang San killed Bibi Dong in the end and caused Qian Rinxue's godhood to shatter. He even caused Hu Liena to witness her teacher's death, leaving her alone for the rest of her life. Of the 4 most important women in Lu Yuan's life, Tang San alone had hurt 3 of them. If Lu Yuan didn't get his revenge, then he would have lived his life in vain. He wouldn't kill Tang San so soon, but he also wouldn't let Tang San live so freely. Since Cher and senior sister in the original novel couldn't obtain love, then Tang San won't be able to be with the woman he loves for the rest of his life. Once you come to the Great Star Do Forest, that will be the final farewell between you and Xiao Wu. Furthermore, the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, these 200,000-year soul beasts, will have no fate with you. You want their soul rings and soul bones? Then you must be dreaming. Furthermore, the Titan Giant Ape's soul rings are very suitable for my golden dragon. When the time comes, I'll just have to sacrifice the Titan Giant Ape to me. After what happened today, I'm sure the Titan Giant Ape won't refuse. Lu Yuan thought to himself, and was very pleased with his plan. Chapter 223. Di Tian watched Lu Yuan's actions from the side. He could vaguely feel that Lu Yuan was targeting Tang San. However, he didn't care because Tang San was a human. Even if Lu Yuan were to chop Tang San into pieces in front of him, Di Tian wouldn't be moved at all. He might even help out. Furthermore, Di Tian didn't think that Tang Hao was planning anything good by not attacking Xiao Wu. Perhaps it was like what Lu Yuan said, and he was waiting for Tang San to grow so that he could kill Xiao Wu to make a soul ring for Tang San. After all, which human wouldn't covet the soul ring of 100,000-year soul beast? In any case, Di Tian didn't believe it. In Di Tian's opinion, Tang San and Xiao Wu were very close, but once Xiao Wu's identity was exposed, he would be the first person to make a move on her. It was normal for humans to be heartless. Furthermore, he felt that Lu Yuan's way of doing things was very straightforward and honest. He was very much to Di Tian's liking. As expected of someone with the Golden Dragon's bloodline, he had the magnanimity of a dragon. In this way, since Lu Yuan was targeting Tang San, it was likely that Tang San wasn't a good person. Since that was the case, Why should he be a busybody and ruin Lu Yuan's plans? In fact, Di Tian's thoughts weren't completely wrong. Hypothetically speaking, if Xiao Wu and Tang San weren't in love, Tang Hao could really imprison Xiao Wu and wait for Tang San to need a soul ring before killing Xiao Wu to take her soul ring and her soul bone. One shouldn't think too highly of a person's character. When a human soul master heard that someone who wasn't related to him was a 100,000-year soul beast, his first thought would be to kill her and take her soul bone. There was no doubt that this was the first thought of all soul masters on the Douluo continent. There were very few exceptions, unless the soul beast was closely related to them. Therefore, in the original work, when Chihiro Disease led a team to hunt Iron, it was an unforgivable crime in the eyes of Tang Hao. However, in the eyes of the entire world of soul masters, it was a very normal thing. What was there to criticize about a soul master hunting a soul beast? Wasn't it a matter of course? In the original novel, Xiao Wu's identity was exposed and Bibidon wanted to kill Xiao Wu. Why didn't Ning Fengji and the others dare to stop him? This was because it was very normal for soul cultivators to hunt soul beasts. What reason could he use to stop them? He could only remain silent. Perhaps he also had similar thoughts in his heart. Looking at the two mythological beasts, Lu Yuan sighed and said, "I have nothing to do here for the time being. You two go back and guard the gate. I want to stay here for a while." "Is that all right, Di Tian?" Lu Yuan turned to look at Di Tian. "Of course, you can cultivate for as long as you want." Di Tian naturally wouldn't reject Lu Yuan's request. In his opinion, the longer Lu Yuan stayed, the better. This way, the relationship between the soul beasts and Lu Yuan would become even closer. "Thank you." Lu Yuan expressed his gratitude. "Then, Master Di Tian will be going back now," the Sky Azure Bull Python said. "All right." Lu Yuan nodded. Di Tian also nodded in response. Seeing as the two of them had agreed, the Sky Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape left. Lu Yuan's words had dealt a heavy blow to the two mythological beasts, and they were both feeling a little conflicted and a little concerned. As for whether Lu Yuan's words were true or not, even the Sky Azure Bull Python was convinced. In his eyes, humans were just that despicable. Tang Hao and his son were drooling over Xiao Wu's soul ring and soul bone, and as the paramount golden dragon of the dragon tribe, Lu Yuan couldn't possibly lie to them. Dragons disdained lying. However, what they did not know was that the dragon clan indeed disdained to lie. Lu Yuan usually did not like to lie, but when it came to Tang San, it was different. Lu Yuan would only be satisfied if he played him to death. After the two mythological beasts left, Lu Yuan stretched lazily. He was planning to stay by the Lake of Life for a while longer. After all, the life force energy here was very abundant, and it was very beneficial to his cultivation. Of course, Gu Yuna's life force energy was even more abundant, so why didn't Lu Yuan go to her place to cultivate? It was because Gu Yuna was too beautiful, and it was very easy for him to be distracted by her beauty. This had nothing to do with whether he liked her or not. It was like seeing a beautiful woman, and even if he didn't like her, he couldn't help but want to take a few more glances at her. As such, he decided not to go see her. That should be enough. Lu Yuan sat down with his legs crossed and began to circulate his clear aura scripture. The effects of cultivating by the Lake of Life were indeed extraordinary. Lu Yuan had just entered a meditative state when streaks of spiritual energy flowed into Lu Yuan's body. After that, they were converted into pure soul power by the clear aura scripture. Di Tian stared at Lu Yuan for a while before nodding and turning to leave. Long Xiaoyao's figure flashed, and he sat down not far from Lu Yuan. He was protecting Lu Yuan. Although Lu Yuan's relationship with Di Tian and the others seemed to be very harmonious, Long Xiaoyao still didn't trust them. He felt that he would be most at ease if he was the one protecting his master. 4 hours later, it was dusk. The sun was hanging in the sky, and the afterglow of the setting sun shone on the Lake of Life. Green ripples rippled, and coupled with the tranquility at this moment, it really felt like a peaceful time. Lu Yuan opened his eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. The lake of life was indeed extraordinary. It had only been 4 hours, but the results were equivalent to a night's worth of cultivation. His speed had increased by almost 2 times. Thinking about it this way, Gu Yuna's place could increase his cultivation speed by at least 3 to 4 times. As he thought about it, Lu Yuan was a little tempted. He couldn't reject such a cultivation speed. Should I find some time to cultivate there? Lu Yuan thought to himself. Seeing that Lu Yuan had opened his eyes, Long Xiaoyao heaved a sigh of relief. Since his master had finished cultivating, he didn't have to protect him anymore. Lu Yuan stretched his back and rubbed his stomach. He was a little hungry. Just as he was about to ask Di Tian to send someone to find something to eat, a golden figure appeared in front of him. It was covered in golden fur, and its entire body seemed to be made of translucent crystals. It was filled with a strange texture. Its overall shape was very similar to a lion, but its 4 claws were like that of a dragon. Each of its claws was stepping on a ball of golden flames. Its mouth was also slightly longer than that of lion-type soul beast. Under its fur there seemed to be golden scales. Other than its 2 eyes there was a 3rd eye. It was a vertical pupil. Its 2 normal eyes shone with gold, but its vertical pupil was red. It had a demonic red to it. Emperor Beast, 3-eyed golden lion. Lu Yuan recognized this soul beast immediately. It was the Emperor Beast of the Great Star Do Forest, the 3-eyed golden lion. It was also favored by the fortune of the Great Star Do Forest. Wherever it was, all soul beasts' cultivation speed would double. 100,000-year soul beasts' chances of breaking through a bottleneck would double. This was why it was called the Emperor Beast by all soul beasts. Chapter 224. This 3-eyed golden lion was very beautiful. Yes, it was beautiful. This was the first time Lu Yuan had used the word beautiful to describe a soul beast. Even the Silver Dragon King, Gu Yuna, looked like a clown to Lu Yuan. However, this 3-eyed golden lion was different. Its entire body exuded a sense of exquisiteness. Lu Yuan dared to say that this 3-eyed golden lion was the top soul beast in the world of soul beasts based on its appearance alone. Where did this soul beast come from? Long Xiaoyao lifted his hand and was about to chase it away. While this soul beast was very beautiful, Long Xiaoyao didn't want it to disturb his master. While this soul beast resembled the legendary Emperor Beast, the 3-eyed golden lion, it was no different from an ordinary soul beast in Long Xiaoyao's eyes. Elder Long, stop! Lu Yuan interrupted Long Xiaoyao's actions. As he watched the 3-eyed golden lion come closer and closer, he felt a rare sense of closeness to it. It was a sense of closeness that originated from their bloodline. Long Xiaoyao retracted his arm after being stopped by Lu Yuan. He looked at Lu Yuan suspiciously. Why does my master seem to have a different feeling towards this soul beast? It's a sense of closeness. Yes, it's a sense of closeness. This was the first time he had seen his master act like this when he met Chihiro Snow. It was a sense of closeness that originated from the heart. As he looked at the 2-meter-long 3-eyed golden lion, Lu Yuan knew that she only had 20,000 years of cultivation. She was still a distance away from the 15,000 years of cultivation that she had during the Second Fighting Era. As an emperor beast, the 3-eyed golden lion could increase the cultivation speed of other soul beasts. However, her own cultivation speed was normal. There was no way to increase it. How many years she had lived was how many years of cultivation she had. However, the 3-eyed golden lion was an extremely powerful soul beast. She was even stronger than the Titan giant ape and the dark golden terraclaw bear of the same rank. She possessed ultimate light and ultimate fire. Furthermore, she had the bloodline of the golden dragon. This made her physical body extraordinarily strong. While she was only 5,000 years old, she had no problem dealing with ordinary soul emperors or even soul sages. Furthermore, the three-eyed golden and eye lions were emperor beasts. They didn't have any barriers to cultivation, nor did they have to face any heavenly tribulations. This was because they controlled the power of fate. The three-eyed golden lion's silhouette was getting closer and closer. Soon, it was only 3 meters away from Lu Yuan. "My lord!" Long Xiaoyao was shocked. He was afraid that the three-eyed golden lion would harm his master. However, Lu Yuan didn't allow him to do anything. Thus, he could only remind Long Xiaoyao verbally. At the same time, he was prepared to attack at any time. Lu Yuan looked at the three-eyed golden lion. The three-eyed golden lion stared back at Lu Yuan, its vertical pupils sizing up Lu Yuan. Its 2 golden eyes were filled with doubt. He seemed to feel that the person in front of him was a little familiar. The three-eyed golden lion had never felt this way before. The three-eyed golden lion was an auspicious emperor beast. Even though it only had 5,000 years of cultivation, its intelligence was extremely high. Auspicious emperor beasts could develop intelligence at 100 years of age. This 5,000-year three-eyed golden lion's intelligence was comparable to that of a 10,000-year soul beast. It wasn't much worse than a human. At most, it was because it didn't know as much and was more innocent. As he looked at the three-eyed golden lion, Lu Yuan smiled. The aura of the golden dragon's bloodline swept out. Suddenly, the three-eyed golden lion's golden eyes brightened. The way it looked at Lu Yuan also became much friendlier. Lu Yuan's bloodline was much more powerful than the three-eyed golden lion's. However, Lu Yuan controlled his aura very well. He only made the three-eyed golden lion feel friendlier, but he didn't suppress her. "Little fellow." Lu Yuan smiled and leaned towards the three-eyed golden lion. "My lord, be careful." Long Xiaoyao couldn't help but remind him. "It's all right, Elder Long." Lu Yuan waved his hand and came in front of the three-eyed golden lion. He half-squatted down and extended his right hand to gently rub its head under the three-eyed golden lion's golden eyes. Lu Yuan's hand carried a warm aura. The three-eyed golden lion felt so comfortable that it couldn't help but squint its eyes. It gently rubbed its head against Lu Yuan's palm. Hee. Lu Yuan chortled as he stroked the golden fur on its neck. The three-eyed golden lion in front of him was probably the only one in the entire Douluo continent who had the same bloodline as him, even if it was a soul beast. However, Lu Yuan had a very good impression of it, both in the past and in the present. "It seems like the two of you are getting along very well." Di Tian's figure suddenly appeared. He held a few strange fruits in his hand that emitted a faint fragrance. "It has the same bloodline as me," Lu Yuan said as he stroked the three-eyed golden lion's soft fur again. "Yes, indeed. The two of you are probably the only ones in the world who have the golden dragon's bloodline," Di Tian said as he passed the fruits to Lu Yuan. "This is your dinner. This fruit is not bad. It has the effect of tempering one's body and increasing one's soul power. I think it should be of some help to you," Di Tian said. "Thanks." Lu Yuan received the fruits and washed them with the spring water from the lake of life. He tossed one to Long Xiaoyao. He still had 3 left. "Little fellow, do you want some?" Lu Yuan placed one of the fruits in front of the three-eyed golden lion. The three-eyed golden lion's golden eyes looked at Lu Yuan before it looked at the fruit in Lu Yuan's hand. After that, it opened its mouth and swallowed the fruit in Lu Yuan's hand. "Good boy." Lu Yuan stroked the three-eyed golden lion's head with a smile on his face. The man and beast were actually getting along very well. Long Xiaoyao stood not too far away and nibbled on the fruit as he observed the dark night sky. Di Tian disappeared after he gave the fruit to the three-eyed golden lion. In the strange space under the lake of life, Di Tian knelt on one knee and said, "Master, I see that Lu Yuan and the auspicious beast are getting along very well. It seems like he really likes the auspicious beast. Master, you asked me to bring the auspicious beast to see him, and it worked. Now, he's even closer to us." "That's normal. After all, they share the same bloodline. It's natural for them to be close. Gu Yuna's pleasant voice rang out. But what? Di Tian asked doubtfully. But with his intelligence, he'll find out sooner or later. When that happens, he'll probably be angry with me. Gu Yuna said. Master, what should we do then? Di Tian asked. Bring him to see me tomorrow. I'll talk to him personally. Won't he be angry if you talk to him personally? Di Tian didn't understand. He should be angry, but he should be angry. Are you special? He said that he likes beautiful women. Di Tian, do you think I'm beautiful? Gu Yuna revealed her beautiful face and looked at Di Tian with her purple eyes as she asked. What? Di Tian was confused. What does this have to do with your beauty? However, he still answered Gu Yuna's question. Of course you're beautiful. Gu Yuna said, since I'm so beautiful, and he likes beautiful women, I think he won't be angry with me if I confess to him. In addition to my beautiful face, I'm sure he won't be angry with me. Di Tian's mouth twitched when he heard Gu Yuna muttering to herself. What does his anger have to do with your beauty? I really don't understand. Could this be the Lord's realm? Di Tian thought to himself. Chapter 225. As the strongest soul master in the great Star Do forest, the leader of the savage beasts, the Golden Eyes Black Dragon King, Di Tian really didn't know what beauty was. Was beauty that important? In Di Tian's eyes, strength was the most important thing. He couldn't understand Gu Yuna's words at all. After all, there were too few soul beasts who knew how to fall in love. Most of them did it for the sake of passing down their bloodlines and for the sake of reproduction. The word love was foreign to soul beasts, including Di Tian. Therefore, he really couldn't understand what Gu Yuna meant when she said that Lu Yuan wasn't angry because she was beautiful. What did being angry have to do with being beautiful? Di Tian really didn't understand. However, he respected the Silver Dragon King from the bottom of his heart. Since his master said it, it naturally couldn't be wrong. Since his master couldn't be wrong, then his inability to understand meant that his realm wasn't high enough. Di Tian couldn't help but blame himself. It seemed like he had to work harder in his cultivation. Compared to his master, he was really too far away. Yes, my lord. I'll bring Lu Yuan to see you tomorrow. Di Tian nodded slightly before disappearing into thin air. The next day, Lu Yuan still hadn't woken up. Suddenly, he felt something wet on his face. Lu Yuan opened his eyes and realized that it was the three-eyed golden lion licking him. Is it daybreak? Looking at the slightly brighter sky, the sun in the east hadn't risen yet. It was only emitting a red light. It was the prelude to the rising sun. Lu Yuan's polychoria shrank, and he could see the purple qi in the sky. If he had the purple demon eyes, he would be able to absorb the nascent purple qi to cultivate. However, he already had his polychoria. He didn't care about trash like the purple demon eyes. However, it wasn't as if there weren't any other techniques that could use the nascent purple gas other than the purple demon eyes. There was a saying in Taoism that one could eat the clouds and drink the dew. Naturally, the purple gas could be absorbed to raise one's cultivation. Coincidentally, Lu Yuan's clear qi scripture could do that. Moreover, this purple qi was exceptionally pure, but there was too little of it. Although it was beneficial to cultivation, it wasn't great. Therefore, Lu Yuan had rarely used it over the years. He circulated the clear qi scripture and absorbed all the purple qi in the sky into his body. This purple qi was really pure. In an instant, it turned into the soul power of the clear qi scripture and circulated mightily. 15 minutes later, the blazing sun rose, and the purple clouds dissipated. Lu Yuan sighed softly. Every day there was only a quarter of an hour. The time was really too short. Although the purple qi had many benefits, how much effect could it have in such a short time? Although it could increase the speed of cultivation, it was only comparable to a normal hour. Now that Lu Yuan was by the lake of life, His cultivation speed was at least twice as fast. Therefore, Lu Yuan didn't really care about this small increase in cultivation speed. If he remembered, he would absorb and refine it. If he didn't, then so be it. He wasn't like Tang San, who waited for the purple chi to cultivate his purple demon eyes every day. With his polychoria, his eyesight was improving every day. Everyone looked like a crawling turtle to him. Little fellow. Lu Yuan patted the three-eyed golden lion's head. Do you have a name? Name? The three-eyed golden lion spoke in a young and tender voice. You can talk? Lu Yuan looked at the three-eyed golden lion in amazement. It had only been 5,000 years, but it could already talk. Was this emperor beast really that amazing? A little. The three-eyed golden lion's clear voice rang out again. Ha ha. Lu Yuan laughed when he heard this. Being able to talk was much better than not being able to talk. If it couldn't talk, then he could only guess what it was thinking. However, it wasn't that easy to guess what it was thinking. However, if it could talk, then he could communicate with it directly. That would be much more convenient. Little fellow, do you have a name? Lu Yuan asked. No. The three-eyed golden lion shook its head. Then I'll give you a name. How about I call you Chior? Lu Yuan smiled. Chior? That's a nice name. I'll be called Chior from now on. The three-eyed golden lion blinked its golden eyes and nodded its head. Lu Yuan patted the three-eyed golden lion's head. Speaking of Chior's name reminded him of Wang Chior's tragic ending in the original novel. He was even more certain that his plan yesterday was correct. Tang San, this fellow, had to be properly tormented. I'm Lu Yuan. You can call me Big Brother from now on. I'll call you Chior. How about that? Lu Yuan revealed a smile on his face. Okay, Big Brother. The three-eyed golden lion's clear voice rang out. Chior. Big Brother. Lu Yuan smiled and patted its head again. He had another little sister now. In terms of bloodline, it made sense for him to have this little sister. The two of them chatted happily. Suddenly, Di Tian appeared again. Master wants to see you, Di Tian said. Wants to see me? Lu Yuan furrowed his brows. What does this Gu Yuna want? However, since she wants to see me, there's no harm in me going to see her. Wait here for a while, Chior. I'll be back to play with you in a while. Lu Yuan smiled and said. Okay. A clear voice rang in Lu Yuan's ears. In the strange space at the bottom of the lake of life, Di Tian's figure slowly disappeared again. He knew that the following conversation wasn't something he should know. Why are you looking for me? Lu Yuan's voice was calm as he looked at Gu Yuna's beautiful face. It seems like you're getting along well with the auspicious beast. Gu Yuna smiled. Heh, didn't you send Chior to me? Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna with a half-smile. You knew? Gu Yuna's eyes were filled with surprise. Am I that stupid? Lu Yuan looked at her strangely and said, Di Tian appeared not long after Chior appeared. Isn't that obvious? Gu Yuna was a little curious. Aren't you angry at all? Angry? Why should I be angry? I like Chior very much. She's like a little sister to me. There's a sense of closeness that comes from the depths of my bloodline. However, I also hope that this is the last time. I don't like the feeling of being schemed against. However, this isn't the first time it's happened to you. Lu Yuan said plainly. Gu Yuna was silent. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna's beautiful face and took 2 steps forward. The distance between the two of them was less than a foot. Gu Yuna panicked as she looked at Lu Yuan, who was so close to her. Lu Yuan stretched out his right hand and lifted Gu Yuna's chin as she looked at him in disbelief. He looked at her carefully. You're really beautiful. It's a pity. If only you could think less about it. Gu Yuna's heart started to beat faster as she felt the warmth from Lu Yuan's fingertips. No one has ever treated you like this before, right? Lu Yuan revealed a gentle smile on his face. Gu Yuna blushed when she saw Lu Yuan's smile. At the same time, a strange feeling rose in her heart. Chapter 226. Lu Yuan raised Gu Yuna's chin with his index finger and appraised her in an unbridled manner. Gu Yuna was the most powerful person on the entire continent, and perhaps only Lu Yuan dared to treat her like this. However, Lu Yuan wasn't flustered at all, as he knew that Gu Yuna viewed him as the hope of the Dragon Clan and wouldn't hurt him, so he had nothing to fear. Furthermore, he really was getting a little annoyed by Gu Yuna's scheming. Even though she didn't harbor any ill will toward him, he was still very disgusted by her constant scheming. This was why he was doing this, as a small warning to Gu Yuna. He had promised Gu Yuna that he would give soul beasts a chance to become gods, but that didn't mean that Gu Yuna could continue to test him and scheme against him. He, Lu Yuan, wasn't someone who didn't have a temper. Even his most precious pet, Chihiro Snow, didn't test him like this, so what right did Gu Yuna have to do this? Just because you're beautiful? Yes, you are indeed very beautiful, but Chihiro Snow isn't much inferior to you. When he becomes a god in the future, it's hard to say who will emerge victorious. Are you very angry? Do you feel offended? Lu Yuan asked with a faint smile as he looked into Gu Yuna's clear, crystalline eyes. No. Gu Yuna's pleasant voice sounded. You don't have to deny it. I know you're definitely very angry, but I'm also very displeased. I hope that today will be the last time you try to scheme against me like this. Lu Yuan spoke in a calm voice as he looked into Gu Yuna's eyes. Yes. Gu Yuna gave a light hum. I know what you're thinking. Lu Yuan sighed. Don't worry, since I've made a promise to you, I'll naturally do it. You don't have to think of ways to strengthen my connection with soul beasts. I'll do what I have to do even if you don't tell me. Yes. Gu Yuna nodded again. There's one more thing. Were you the one who told Tian to say that I'm a transformed golden dragon? I'm clearly a human, yet you're saying that I'm a transformed golden dragon? This is outrageous. You don't have to quibble. It must be you. Without your orders, Tian wouldn't have done this. Seeing Gu Yuna's somewhat evasive gaze, Lu Yuan said, I want to. Gu Yuna was just about to say something when she was interrupted by Lu Yuan. You want them to accept me better, right? Lu Yuan said. All right. Gu Yuna nodded. I can guess that too. I don't mean to blame you, but can you consider my feelings when you do things in the future? I don't want to be controlled by others, do you understand? Even you can't do that. Lu Yuan looked into Gu Yuna's eyes. His voice was flat, but it was filled with an imposing aura. There won't be a next time, I promise. Gu Yuna said softly. Really? Lu Yuan asked in a soft voice as he raised Gu Yuna's chin. Really? Gu Yuna nodded. Then it's a deal. Lu Yuan gently brushed Gu Yuna's silver hair away from her forehead and retracted his hand. I might need to borrow this place from you in the future. I want to cultivate. Gu Yuna's life energy was too dense. Lu Yuan couldn't resist the temptation of 3 to 4 times his cultivation speed. All right. Gu Yuna said softly. Lu Yuan glanced at Gu Yuna and said, Then I'll go out first. Chiu is still waiting for me. Lu Yuan turned around slightly, and Gu Yuna's pleasant voice sounded. You like Chiu a lot? Yes. Lu Yuan nodded. Then why don't you like me? Gu Yuna was a little confused. Lu Yuan turned around and looked at Gu Yuna. He said, I like Chiu because we share the same bloodline. She's like my sister. To me, the two of you are different. I can say that I like her, but I can't say that I like you. What's the difference? Gu Yuna asked. Don't we both like each other? You'll find out in the future. You haven't experienced it before, so you won't understand even if I explain it to you. Also, you can't just say that you like someone. Lu Yuan said as he turned around and left. Gu Yuna bit her red lips as she watched Lu Yuan's back. There was a little confusion in her eyes. 1 year later, Lu Yuan held his golden dragon spear as he leaped on the lake of life. Lu Yuan couldn't walk on the water in the past. However, he was slowly able to do it over the past half a year, because his understanding of water had deepened. Unbounded disturbance. The golden dragon spear drew a circle, and a golden halo flew out and enveloped the three-eyed golden lion not far away. Unbounded disturbance was the first move of the sea god's 13 halberds. It was the foundation of the sea god's 13 halberds, and also the strongest control-type skill. It ignored level and forcefully imprisoned. This move contained the profound meaning of the laws of space. As long as one was hit by the unbounded disturbance, no matter how high one's cultivation was, they would be imprisoned. Of course, the stronger one was, the shorter the duration of the imprisonment. However, it would still last for 2 to 3 seconds. Sometimes, 2 to 3 seconds was enough to decide the outcome of a battle for an expert. At the same time, apart from its imprisonment ability, the unbounded disturbance was just like its name. It had the effect of nullifying other people's attacks. As long as one cultivated it to a certain level, they would be able to turn attacks into nothing. As the saying went, the unbounded disturbance was calm and tranquil. However, the sea god's 13 halberds lived up to its name as the sea god's divine skill. It took him half a year to barely reach the next level of mastery of the sea god's 13 halberds. He was still far from being able to fully control it. This was because he had trained his spear techniques since he was young, and had a certain level of mastery. Otherwise, he would have had to spend even more time. Woo, big brother! The three-eyed golden lion couldn't move at all after being imprisoned by the unbounded disturbance. Even if it struggled with all its might, it was useless. Its golden eyes stared at Lu Yuan as it spoke in a crisp voice. When he heard the three-eyed golden lion's aggrieved voice, Lu Yuan gently waved his golden dragon spear. The golden halo that was imprisoning the three-eyed golden lion instantly disappeared. Chiu-er! Lu Yuan leapt up and came beside the three-eyed golden lion. He patted its head. Big brother! The three-eyed golden lion used its head to gently rub Lu Yuan's palm. They were very close to each other. Chiu-er, I only gave you a name last time. This time, I'll give you a surname. You're the Emperor Beast, the uncrowned king of all soul beasts. Therefore, your surname shall be Wang. Wang Chiu-er. What do you think? Lu Yuan laughed softly. Alright, big brother. I'll be Wang Chiu-er from now on. The three-eyed golden lion nodded its head gently and stuck out its tongue to lick Lu Yuan's palm. Lu Yuan's eyes sparkled as he patted its head. He had been here for almost a year. Not only had he comprehended the unbounded disturbance, but he had also made a breakthrough in his mastery of spear intent. He had also comprehended the concept of the vast ocean spear art, which was the vast ocean spear intent. He had also used the vast ocean spear art as a foundation to create his first spear technique, the vast ocean. Chapter 227. After practicing the spear for so many years, he had finally entered the realm of spear intent. Only by entering the realm of spear intent could he be considered to have truly stepped into the path of the spear. The Immensity Sea was the first spear technique that Lu Yuan had created. It was his first work. Unlike before, when he only learned martial arts and techniques, he could be considered to have walked the path of creating martial arts. This was undoubtedly a very important step for Lu Yuan. If a martial artist wanted to become truly powerful, they had to walk their own path. They could learn from others, but they couldn't just walk along the path of others. Lu Yuan's Immensity Sea Spear Art, Phoenix Dance 6 Illusions, and Mountain Sea Fist were all very powerful. Needless to say, the 4 halberd techniques of the sea god's 13 halberds were divine techniques with boundless power. However, these things were ultimately created by others. They weren't Lu Yuan's own. Lu Yuan could use these martial arts, but he couldn't be limited by them. Standing on the shoulders of giants and creating new things was what a truly intelligent person should do. He would learn from the subtleties of these martial arts, and then create his own unique technique according to his own situation. Spear technique. Immensity Sea was the first step he took. In the future, there would be more spear techniques and movement techniques that he would create one by one. Of course, he wouldn't give up on his original martial art. As long as it was useful to him, he would use it. For example, the sea god's halberd technique was so powerful. Wouldn't he be a fool if he didn't learn it? Not only would he learn it, but he would also absorb its essence and use it. In the not-too-distant future, he might be able to create a spear technique that far surpassed the sea god's halberd technique. Holding the golden dragon spear and looking at the familiar lake of life, Lu Yuan sighed softly. He had mastered the unpredictable storm, and it was time for him to leave. In a year, his cultivation speed had increased by 3 to 4 times. Now, Lu Yuan's cultivation was already at rank 39. He had increased by 6 whole ranks. It was a terrifying number. One had to know that a rank 6 soul elder and a rank 6 soul grandmaster were 2 completely different things. However, this was also the limit. Just increasing his soul power was useless. He still needed corresponding tempering. His path was destined to be one of constant tempering and growth. Although his days in the lake of life were safe and leisurely, and he liked it very much, he couldn't continue like this. Life is born of hardship and death is born of ease and happiness. Without competition, where would progress come from? Forget it, let's go and tell her. Looking at the lake of life below, Lu Yuan's eyes were calm. At the bottom of the lake of life, in a strange space, Lu Yuan sat on a rock and looked at Gu Yuna, who was sitting beside him. "How are your injuries?" Lu Yuan asked softly. During the past half a year, he had been cultivating in Gu Yuna's strange space almost every night, and the two of them had become quite familiar with one another. "Thanks to your life crystal, my injuries are much better now." Gu Yuna smiled as she stared at Lu Yuan with her purple eyes. "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?" Lu Yuan touched his face. It was normal. There was no dirt on his face. "I'm just thinking that your face should be considered very good-looking among humans," Gu Yuna said. "Oh? Why do you say that?" Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna curiously. "Because every time I look at your face I feel very comfortable. I don't know how humans define good-looking, but I'm guessing that you must be very good-looking among humans," Gu Yuna said in an affirmative manner. "Hee hee." Lu Yuan laughed and said, "I didn't expect my handsomeness to surpass my race. You guessed right, there shouldn't be anyone more handsome than me among humans." "Oh right, handsome means good-looking," Lu Yuan boasted shamelessly, without the slightest sense of shame. "I guess so too." However, unexpectedly, Gu Yuna nodded and felt that Lu Yuan's words were very reasonable. Heh! Gu Yuna's affirmation made Lu Yuan feel a little embarrassed. Gu Yuna was so naive in this regard, so it was inappropriate for him to say something like that. However, after some thought, Lu Yuan felt that he was most likely the most handsome man on the Douluo continent, and he didn't think that there was anything wrong with that. Could it be that there was someone more handsome than him on the Douluo continent? There was definitely no such person. Lu Yuan nodded. That's right, that's right." Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna's regal purple eyes and beautiful features and sighed, "I've been here for half a year. I may have to leave for a while." "You're leaving?" Gu Yuna shuddered slightly and asked, "How long are you going to be gone for? Will you come back?" Lu Yuan turned to Gu Yuna with a peculiar look in his eyes. He couldn't help but feel that Gu Yuna's reaction was a little abnormal. It was rather similar to Chihiro Snow's expression when he had left Heaven Do Imperial City. Lu Yuan shook his head. He had to be mistaken. Gu Yuna was the Silver Dragon Monarch. How could she be reluctant to leave? He had to be overthinking things. Lu Yuan smiled and replied, "I'll most likely be gone for a while. It could be a year or 2, or it could also be 4 or 5 years. It'll depend on the situation." "Is that so?" Gu Yuna murmured. Gu Yuna hesitated momentarily before waving a hand, and a palm-sized silver scale appeared in her hand. She gently handed it over to Lu Yuan. "What's this?" Lu Yuan accepted the scale, and he could feel that it was extremely cold to the touch. Furthermore, there seemed to be a strange power circulating within it. "This is my reverse scale," Gu Yuna said. "Reverse scale." Lu Yuan stared at Gu Yuna in astonishment. Dragons had reverse scales, and anyone who touched them would die. This was one of the most important things on a dragon's body, and Gu Yuna was giving it to him just like that? "This reverse scale fell off when I transformed, and it contains my power. If you wear it on your body, it can resist attacks. Furthermore, as long as you activate it, I'll be able to rush over to help you no matter where you are." Gu Yuna said, "Why are you so nice to me?" Lu Yuan held the scale in his hand. Gu Yuna's reverse scale was different from Di Tian's. Di Tian had given him this scale to cut off his connection with the God realm, as Di Tian had undergone heavenly tribulations, and it contained the aura of heavenly wrath. On the other hand, Gu Yuna's reverse scale had fallen off naturally, and it only contained her own divine power. Furthermore, this reverse scale's defensive capabilities were extraordinary. As long as it was activated, no one below the titled rank would be able to harm Lu Yuan. Furthermore, if someone above the titled rank attacked, Gu Yuna would be able to sense it, and she would be able to save him personally. With Gu Yuna's power, as long as she had the coordinates, it would be a piece of cake for her to teleport across space. Don't forget that spatial power was one of the Silver Dragon Monarch Gu Yuna's most proficient technique. However, what puzzled Lu Yuan was that Gu Yuna had given such an important item to him just like that. Chapter 228. That's because you are the future hope of the soul beast race. Gu Yuna giggled as she replied. Is that so? Lu Yuan stared straight into Gu Yuna's eyes. In fact, Gu Yuna's eyes were the prettiest eyes that Lu Yuan had ever seen. They were clear and transparent like flawless amethyst. They were very attractive. Of course. Being stared at by Lu Yuan's double pupils, Gu Yuna averted her eyes and said weakly, "Haha, you don't mean what you say." Lu Yuan laughed. He couldn't be bothered to argue with her. He kept the scale in his astral ring and stretched. He didn't even mind the dirt as he lay down. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan from one side and bit her red lip. The expression in her eyes changed. No one knew what she was thinking. Lu Yuan lay on the cold ground as his gaze wandered. Today should be his last day in the great Star Do forest. He couldn't bear to part with her as he thought about it carefully. Was it because he couldn't bear to part with Wang Qiu'er, or because he couldn't bear to part with Gu Yuna? Lu Yuan thought that it was because he couldn't bear to part with Wang Qiu'er. Of course, Lu Yuan missed Gu Yuna's beauty. Lu Yuan's thoughts drifted away as he thought about it. Lu Yuan's eyes closed slightly. Suddenly, a beautiful face entered his eyes. Lu Yuan was startled. Lu Yuan heaved a sigh of relief as he looked at Gu Yuna's beautiful face. He snapped, "What are you doing? You gave me a fright." Gu Yuna didn't say anything. She only stared straight at Lu Yuan. There was a tinge of doubt and confusion in her eyes. There was even a faint blush on her face. "What's wrong?" Lu Yuan was shocked when he saw Gu Yuna's expression. He hurriedly sat up and looked at Gu Yuna beside him as he asked softly. Gu Yuna touched her heart and said, "It hurts a little here." Lu Yuan was a little puzzled. He asked, "Are your injuries serious again? Didn't you say that with the life crystal, your injuries have healed a lot?" "It's not an issue with the injury. It's just that it suddenly began to hurt, and there's also a very uncomfortable feeling that I can't quite explain. When I heard that you were going to leave, it became even more uncomfortable," Gu Yuna said in a soft voice with a hint of confusion in her eyes. "Do you know what's going on?" Gu Yuna asked as she looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's heart jolted upon hearing Gu Yuna's words. This kind of phenomenon is a bit like, but how was that possible? Lu Yuan didn't quite believe it, so he prepared to test it out. Looking at Gu Yuna's beautiful face, Lu Yuan slowly reached out his hand and gently placed it on Gu Yuna's left cheek. "Are you angry with me for doing this?" Lu Yuan asked. I'm not angry. Gu Yuna shook her head, and the blush on her face became even more prominent. Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition. Then what about this? Lu Yuan gently stroked Gu Yuna's hair, grabbed Gu Yuna's jade-like hand, and gently squeezed it as he asked, "Do you feel angry?" "No." Gu Yuna shook her head and said, "I don't feel angry. Instead, I feel like my heart is beating faster." Lu Yuan, who was holding Gu Yuna's hand, paused. The bad premonition was getting stronger and stronger. His eyes flashed, and he gently pulled Gu Yuna's body directly into his arms. "Then what about this?" Lu Yuan gently hugged Gu Yuna's waist. He was now 11 years old, and his golden dragon bloodline matured early, so his height was no less than 1.8 meters. Gu Yuna was now a little shorter than him. Lu Yuan gently hugged her, and the two of them were so close that they could hear each other's breathing. "You should be angry now, right?" Lu Yuan said calmly, but his heart was beating like a drum. One had to know that Gu Yuna was at the level of a god. He didn't know where he got the courage to treat her like this. However, Lu Yuan didn't think so much. He couldn't wait to figure out one thing. He just hoped that it wouldn't be like what he thought. Otherwise, it would be a little bad. Feeling the aura on Lu Yuan's body, Gu Yuna's pretty face was already red, but she closed her eyes and carefully felt it before saying, "I still don't feel angry, and what?" Lu Yuan asked. "And being hugged by you, the pain in my heart seems to have disappeared a lot. I also feel a little inexplicably happy and my heart is beating very fast," Gu Yuna said seriously. Looking at Gu Yuna's flawless face, Lu Yuan's heart sank. "It's over. What the hell is going on? Lu Yuan, do you know?" Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan curiously. Lu Yuan sighed helplessly and said, "I think you might have fallen in love with me." Looking at Gu Yuna's appearance, he really didn't expect Gu Yuna to fall in love with him. This didn't seem right. "I didn't flirt with her. Could it have started when I lifted her chin with my finger?" "That's possible." Gu Yuna didn't seem angry at that time. Now that he thought about it, she seemed to be a little shy at that time. Furthermore, he was probably the only person who dared to do that to her. She must have a very deep impression of him. No wonder she gave him her reverse scale. It turned out that she had fallen in love with him without even knowing it herself. Lu Yuan's expression was a little complicated. Looking at Gu Yuna, his eyes flickered. What should he do? So this is what love feels like? Gu Yuna was enlightened. Is this the feeling of love? It seems pretty good. Do you feel the same way about Wang Qiu'er? Gu Yuna blinked gently. It's not the same. My love for Qiu'er is more like my concern for my sister. This is kinship. However, your love for me is different. It's more like love between a man and a woman. Love? Gu Yuna tilted her head and asked, "Do you like me? Like this kind of love between a man and a woman?" I don't know. Looking at Gu Yuna's pretty face, Lu Yuan really wanted to say that he didn't like her. However, he couldn't bring himself to say it. "You don't know." Gu Yuna's bright eyes carried a tinge of disappointment that was hard to detect. However, she quickly hid it. She lifted her hands and wrapped them around Lu Yuan's waist. Lu Yuan's body shuddered as Gu Yuna hugged him. He was about to let go of Gu Yuna's waist, but he tightened his grip around her waist. Even though you say you don't know, your body is very honest." The two of them hugged each other tightly. Lu Yuan's hand gently brushed across Gu Yuna's silver hair. It was very smooth to the touch, smoother than anyone else's hair that Lu Yuan had ever touched. For some reason, he felt a very strange desire as he hugged Gu Yuna. This feeling seeped deep into his bloodline. Perhaps Lu Yuan's bloodline was a little different from Gu Yuna's, so it wasn't very obvious. However, Lu Yuan could clearly sense that it was real. Chapter 229. The next day, purple gas gradually appeared. In the strange space at the bottom of the Lake of Life, the two were still hugging tightly. They hugged for the whole night. The feeling of hugging Gu Yuna was the most wonderful. There was a kind of joy that surged from the depths of his bloodline. This kind of joy made Lu Yuan not want to let go at all. He just wanted to hug her tightly. But his mood was a little complicated. He didn't seem to have done what he promised share. Looking at Gu Yuna in his arms, Lu Yuan asked himself, do I really like her? Lu Yuan really couldn't say it clearly, but looking at Gu Yuna's perfect face, he couldn't say the words, I don't like her, in the end. Ai. Lu Yuan sighed softly. I'm really going further and further away from the path of a scumbag. What's wrong? Why are you sighing? Gu Yuna's puzzled voice sounded. Nothing. Lu Yuan gently stroked Gu Yuna's long silver hair. It was still so smooth. How do you feel? Lu Yuan asked. How do you feel? Gu Yuna asked. The feeling of hugging. Lu Yuan said. N. Gu Yuna closed her eyes slightly, as if she was savoring it. After a while, she said, it's a very wonderful feeling. It's very warm, very fulfilling, and I feel very relaxed. Even the pressure of the revitalizing soul beast on my shoulder has been relieved a little. Is it? Lu Yuan sighed softly. This Gu Yuna must have fallen in love with me. She might even have fallen in love with me. This kind of feeling can only be felt when one falls in love with me. It's just that Gu Yuna has never been in contact with feelings. She only knows that this feeling is very wonderful and comfortable, but she doesn't know that this is love. What about me? Isn't it also very relaxing to hug Gu Yuna? And the feeling that comes from the depths of his bloodline is really difficult for Lu Yuan to resist. It's like an instinct. If it's someone else, he can firmly refuse, but he really can't do it for Gu Yuna. It was fine if they were not in close contact, but once they were in close contact, that feeling would come out and bother him, making him not want to resist. Once he was in close contact with her, he would feel very comfortable. It was as if something that was missing in his bloodline had been made up for by Gu Yuna, and this was a feeling that was difficult to describe with words. Shouldn't bloodline attraction only exist between the Golden Dragon King and the Silver Dragon King? Lu Yuan was quite perplexed. The Golden Dragon King and Silver Dragon King originated from the Dragon God, so it was normal for them to be attracted to one another. After all, the two of them originated from the same source and were originally one entity. However, Lu Yuan's Golden Dragon bloodline was only a second-generation bloodline, so it was actually one rank lower than the Golden Dragon King and Silver Dragon King, so why was it still so attractive? Even though it wasn't very strong, it was already having a negative effect on Lu Yuan. Every time Lu Yuan wanted to refuse, that bloodline attraction would come out to disturb him. Theoretically speaking, there was indeed an insurmountable gap between the second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline and the Silver Dragon King bloodline. However, Lu Yuan's current second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline was already slowly surpassing the limits of the second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline. The nourishment from the clear air divine seed and the power of the ocean was a result of some changes that had taken place in the second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline. In particular, the clear air divine power contained within the clear air divine seed contained the power of laws, which was a paramount power. It had been over a year since Lu Yuan had obtained the clear air divine seed, and during this time, the power of the clear air divine seed had been constantly seeping into all parts of Lu Yuan's body, including his physical constitution, his muscles, his soul bones, and so on. In reality, even Lu Yuan's martial soul and bloodline had already been seeped into by the clear air divine seed, and the divine power within it was slowly transforming his martial soul and bloodline, thereby slowly evolving them. Lu Yuan's bloodline had already become a lot purer after being affected by the clear air divine seed for over a year. It had already surpassed the limits of the second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline, and it was slowly progressing toward a higher level. Perhaps there was still a very large gap between it and the Golden Dragon King bloodline, but as long as it continued to evolve like this, Lu Yuan's bloodline would eventually reach the same level as the Golden Dragon King's bloodline, and perhaps even surpass it. After all, the power of laws contained within the clear air divine seed exceeded the 5 paramount powers of life: destruction, kindness, evil, and order. Lu Yuan didn't know what the upper limit of the clear air divine seed was, but it was definitely above the God King level. One had to realize that the Golden Dragon King was only comparable to a God King at most, and even the Dragon God was only at the pinnacle of the God King level. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been defeated by the 5 God Kings. With the power of the clear air divine seed, it wouldn't be a difficult task to elevate Lu Yuan's bloodline to that of the Golden Dragon King. It was exactly because Lu Yuan's bloodline was evolving that he was able to break through the bloodline shackles, and that was why he was able to resonate with Gu Yuna through their bloodlines. That's right. Gu Yuna's clear voice brought Lu Yuan back to reality. This hug feels really good. Gu Yuna appraised Lu Yuan with a serious expression. Lu Yuan's heart stirred slightly at the sight of Gu Yuna's serious expression. Perhaps it was because Gu Yuna didn't know anything about emotions, or perhaps it was because she was a soul beast that she didn't hide anything from Lu Yuan. This was a very peculiar feeling to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan stroked Gu Yuna's long hair, and a warm smile appeared on his face as he looked into her purple eyes. Gu Yuna was completely entranced by this. This seemed to be the first time that Lu Yuan had ever smiled at her like this, and her heart began to race involuntarily. It's daybreak. Gu Yuna was able to see the scenery outside through the spatial barrier, and this was one of her uses of spatial power. Lu Yuan said as he looked at the scintillating sun outside. Yes. Gu Yuna nodded in response. I have to go now, Lu Yuan said as he looked into Gu Yuna's beautiful eyes. Will you come back? Gu Yuna asked with an expectant look in her eyes. I'll definitely come back. Lu Yuan smiled as he stroked Gu Yuna's exquisite cheek and said, When the time comes, I'll help you completely recover from your injuries. The next time he came back would perhaps be in a few years, and even if he were to bestow upon Gu Yuna the secret of one, he wouldn't be able to resist. Really? You're not planning to come back in 50 years, are you? I'll have almost fully recovered by then. Gu Yuna suddenly chuckled. Of course not. In any case, I'll most likely come back when I obtain my 5th or 6th soul ring, so I'll definitely come back in 3 to 5 years, or at most 7 to 8 years. When that time comes, how about I accompany you to explore the continent? I don't think you've explored the continent yet. The corners of Lu Yuan's mouth curled up with a warm smile. Chapter 230. Sure. Gu Yuna smiled and said, There's a place on the continent that belongs to our dragon race. We can go and take a look. It should be of some help to you. All right. Lu Yuan nodded, but his heart was filled with warmth. Gu Yuna was willing to tell him about the dragon tomb, which meant that she really did view him as one of her own. Then I'll be going now? Lu Yuan asked in a gentle voice. All right. Gu Yuna replied, but Lu Yuan could hear a hint of reluctance in her voice. All of a sudden, a thought flashed through Lu Yuan's mind and he said, There's something I have to tell you. I discovered the place where the water and fire dragon monarchs fell in the setting sun forest. The place where they fell formed a treasure bowl of heaven and earth, the ice-fire yin-yang well. I'll take you there when the time comes. The ice-fire yin-yang well. A hint of grief appeared in Gu Yuna's eyes. Their dragon race had suffered a tragic fate back then. The water and fire dragon monarchs were both first-tier gods, but no one had thought that they would fall to such a state. After their deaths, not even their corpses had been collected for burial. Don't be sad, everything will get better. Lu Yuan stroked Gu Yuna's cheek and said, I'll fulfill my promise to you. The soul beast race will attain its rightful place, I promise. All right. Gu Yuna retracted the grief in her eyes, and she turned to Lu Yuan with a gentle look in her eyes. She really had endured the pressure of the entire soul beast race for far too long, but she had no choice. She had to shoulder the heavy responsibility of revitalizing the soul beast race. She was the silver dragon monarch, the ruler of all soul beasts in this world. All soul beasts were her subjects, and she had to work hard for the future of her subjects. Even though she knew that this could lead to a dead end, she had no other choice. Fortunately, there was finally someone who was willing to share this heavy responsibility with her. Furthermore, this person was very mysterious. She could see the future of the soul beast race in him, and she also experienced a feeling that she had never experienced before from him. It was a very good feeling. Although his current strength was still very weak, Gu Yuna believed that sooner or later, this person would become the strongest existence in the world. She had this premonition, and firmly believed that it would come true. Looking at Gu Yuna's beautiful face, Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat. He lowered his head and kissed her gently on the forehead. In an instant, Gu Yuna's body stiffened. "There's something else I want to tell you. I think I'm starting to like you." At the border between the Great Star Doe Forest's hybrid region and the core region, Lu Yuan was standing straight, and Long Xiaoyao was standing not far away from him. In front of him were the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, 200,000-year soul beasts. "Don't worry, I'll protect Xiao Wu for you," Lu Yuan said softly as he looked at the two soul beasts. "Thank you, my lord," the Sky Azure Bull Python said. "Thank you, my lord." The Titan Ape's somewhat unfamiliar voice rang out. "It's all right. Xiao Wu and I should be coming here with a group of people in around a year from now. When the time comes, you can bring Xiao Wu back. Be careful, don't hurt anyone else," Lu Yuan said. "What about Tang San, my lord?" the Sky Azure Bull Python asked with a hint of hostility in its voice. "Leave Tang San to me. It would be too easy for him to die just like that. I'll teach him the meaning of cruelty," Lu Yuan said in an indifferent voice. "Yes, my lord." The Sky Azure Bull Python nodded with gratitude and said, "Thank you for your help, my lord. Ming and I are yours from now on, and we'll be loyal to you until we die." "All right, I'm glad you're here. However, I do have something that I need the Titan Giant Ape to help me with," Lu Yuan said. "What is it?" the Sky Azure Bull Python asked. "It's very simple. I need the Titan Giant Ape to be my 5th soul ring." Lu Yuan's voice was calm as he recounted the conversation between him and Gu Yuna to the Sky Azure Bull Python. Of course, this wasn't all true. In any case, the gist of it was that he had taken human form at Gu Yuna's behest in order to become a god and change the fate of all soul beasts. However, due to Gu Yuna's methods, he couldn't produce soul rings like normal soul beasts. Each soul ring had to be hunted down, and as a golden dragon, he needed soul beasts with powerful offensive and defensive abilities as soul rings. The higher the soul ring ratio, the greater his chances of becoming a god in the future. Lu Yuan's explanation was very detailed, and it was also very reasonable. At the same time, he had sufficient evidence to back up his claims, so the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape had no choice but to believe him. "Once I become a god, resurrecting the Titan Giant Ape will be a trivial matter. Are you willing to fight alongside me for a better future for all soul beasts?" Lu Yuan's voice was filled with passion as he spoke, and this was very tempting to the Titan Giant Ape. "I am willing," the Titan Giant Ape replied. Ming," the Sky Azure Bull Python yelled, cutting off the Titan Giant Ape's words. It then turned to Lu Yuan and said, "Master, let me be your soul ring." Lu Yuan slowly shook his head and said, "Setting aside the fact that the Titan Giant Ape is more compatible with my Golden Dragon martial soul, don't forget that there's still Xiao Wu. If you're gone, who's going to take care of Xiao Wu? The Titan Giant Ape is simple-minded, and it'll be easily manipulated by Xiao Wu. Will it be able to protect Xiao Wu?" The Sky Azure Bull Python fell silent upon hearing this. Indeed, they still had Xiao Wu to take care of. "Big brother, let me do it. I want to help us soul beasts. I don't want us soul beasts to be bullied by others," the Titan giant ape said. Tears began to flow from its yellow eyes as it spoke, as if it were recalling the murder of Xiao Wu's mother. The sky azure bull python glanced at the Titan giant ape with a hint of grief in its eyes, but it didn't object any further. As a soul beast, it had an obligation to do its part. "Don't worry, even if the Titan giant ape sacrifices itself to me, it won't die. Its soul will live in my sea of consciousness. I obtained a divine seed in the past, so there's a very high chance that I'll become a god. With the Titan giant ape's help, I'll have an even higher chance of becoming a god. Don't worry, I won't do something I'm not confident in," Lu Yuan said. "Really, Master?" the sky azure bull python asked. "Yes." Lu Yuan nodded in response. "Then I'll leave the Titan giant to you," the sky azure bull python said with a hint of reluctance in its voice. After all, it and the Titan giant ape were brothers who had lived together for tens of thousands of years. Its affection for the Titan giant ape was no less than its affection for Xiao Wu. "Yes, but don't worry. I'm only at rank 38 right now, and I'm still far from rank 50. You two can still be together for a long time. Even if the Titan giant sacrifices itself to me, I'll still come back often. When that time comes, you two will be able to see each other often," Lu Yuan said. Chapter 231. Lu Yuan left. Before he left, he tricked the 200,000-year soul beasts into giving him his 5th soul ring. Lu Yuan thought about it carefully. The reason why he was able to fool them so easily was because Di Tian had announced that he was a golden dragon. The golden dragon was one of the 2 purest bloodlines in the dragon clan. Not only were they revered in the dragon clan, but they were also very revered in the entire soul beast clan. They were the ancestors of strength, and all soul beasts with some cultivation and knowledge knew about them. It was exactly because of Lu Yuan's golden dragon form that he had been able to convince the sky azure bull python and the Titan giant ape, as well as the support of Gu Yuna and the fact that Lu Yuan's argument was very reasonable and well-founded. Otherwise, these 200,000-year soul beasts weren't idiots. They wouldn't have believed Lu Yuan's words so easily. They were indeed quite simple and honest, but they weren't idiots. In particular, the sky azure bull python was quite intelligent. There were very few soul beasts that were as knowledgeable as it, and that included great beasts. In order to convince them, Lu Yuan had thought about all of this for a very long time. It was the easiest way to convince them by including falsehood in truth and truth in falsehood. Furthermore, Lu Yuan wasn't worried at all that his words would be exposed. If they wanted to know whether he was lying or not, then they could only ask Gu Yuna. However, was Gu Yuna someone that just anyone could meet? Aside from Lu Yuan, even Di Tian could only meet her when Gu Yuna sent him a message. Furthermore, even if Gu Yuna were to find out, she might not expose Lu Yuan. After all, Gu Yuna's current feelings for Lu Yuan were very important. In her eyes, how could the sky azure bull python and Titan giant ape compare to Lu Yuan? When had Lu Yuan ever made a mistake in what he had decided to do? That wasn't his style. He would only do things that he was confident in. Either he didn't do anything, or he would succeed as long as he did. However, what Lu Yuan said was true. He was working hard for the sake of the soul beast. This was what he had promised Gu Yuna, and he would fulfill his promise. The only thing that could not be done was to promise Chihiro Snow that there would only be 3 of them, but there was no other way. Lu Yuan had tried to avoid it before, but the attraction that came from the depths of his bloodline was like an instinct, and even he could not break it. He even suspected that if he had not met Qian Rinxue first, he might have fallen head over heels in love with Gu Yuna. After all, regardless of whether it was her appearance or her personality, she was the best of the best. Coupled with the influence of their bloodline, Lu Yuan reckoned that he might have really fallen head over heels in love with her. But even with Qian Rinxue and the others, he still fell in love with Gu Yuna. Sigh men. Speaking of the Titan giant ape, if it really sacrificed itself to him, he would definitely resurrect it in the future. If the conditions were right, he could even get it a godly position. After all, if it really followed him, he would definitely treat it well. In any case, it would definitely be better than following Tang San. Lu Yuan thought as he walked on the road in the great Star Do forest. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Ding! Sign-in mission released. Sign-in location, Shrek Academy. Sign-in time, 3 months. Sign-in rewards. 1 10,000-year soul ring, 1 10,000-year dark golden terraclaw bear's right palm bone. A new sign-in mission? Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes. Sign-in location, Shrek Academy. But the rewards don't seem to be as good as the previous ones. It's about the same as the rewards at the Heaven Do Academy. Looks like this is a low-level sign-in mission. Lu Yuan thought about it for a while. It seemed that those check-ins that were more related to him and had more influence would have the reward listed as unknown when the mission was issued. On the other hand, those who were less related to him would directly report the reward. The first sign-in was at the Pontiff's palace. This sign-in had directly changed his position, and also established that he would help the Martial Soul Palace unify the continent in the future. As a transmigrator, and a transmigrator with his own system, changing his position could change the history of the Douluo continent. Therefore, the rewards were generous. His second martial soul, the God-slaying spear, was an extremely powerful martial soul. It was indisputably the number 1 martial soul on the Douluo continent. The second sign-in was at the Temple of Life. This time, he received the clear air god seed. Furthermore, the 3 life god crystals had changed the martial souls of Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing, and changed the trajectory of their lives. At the same time, the Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna's injuries could be healed almost 20,000 years earlier. Meanwhile, the clear air godly seed had the greatest impact. This godly seed nurtured a power that surpassed that of the 5 supreme godly kings. If Lu Yuan obtained it, it was very likely that he would be able to rewrite the structure of the entire immortal realm. Thus, the reward was very generous, and the polychoria had dropped. After signing in at the Great Star Do Forest, Lu Yuan agreed to the Silver Dragon King Gu Yuna's request and shouldered the fate of soul beasts. This way, he could very likely change the iron law that soul beasts could not become gods. This would allow soul beasts to rise. This was another earth-shattering change. Therefore, the reward was one of the 9 esoteric words. When he thought about it this way, it seemed that those with a greater impact were more likely to drop higher-level items. Sign-in missions like the Heaven Do Imperial Academy and Shrek Academy could affect the current political situation to a certain extent, but in the end it wouldn't be too big. Therefore, the rewards for low-level missions were directly stated. The more Lu Yuan thought about it, the more he felt that it made sense. He couldn't help but secretly ask, "Dog system, am I right?" System. Don't think you can get away with it just by remaining silent. This is definitely the rule of your missions. Lu Yuan was very confident. He had a bit of a grasp of the rules of the system's missions. A limitless 10,000-year soul ring. In other words, if my endurance is high enough, I can push it up to 99,999 years. This is not bad, and the soul ring reward will definitely be very suitable for my golden dragon martial soul. This way, I won't have to worry about my 4th soul ring. Lu Yuan tapped his chin. There's also a 10,000-year dusk gold dreadclaw bear right palm bone. This is interesting. When I killed the dusk gold dreadclaw bear, it didn't drop a right palm bone. Instead, it dropped a right arm bone. But the system still arranged it for me. This way, my left and right arms can be balanced. The left palm bone of the sky-piercing devil ape, the right palm bone of the dusk gold dreadclaw bear, the external soul bone of the golden dragon battle armor, and the divine weapon of the golden dragon spear. Wow, what a luxurious combination! Lu Yuan couldn't help but snicker inwardly as he thought about it. There were 3 external soul bones. He just wanted to ask, who else was there? It was truly a luxurious combination without a doubt. Oh right, there was also Gu Yuna's reverse scale in the astral ring. This thing contained Gu Yuna's divine power, and its defensive power was very strong. It was just that Lu Yuan didn't want to wear it ostentatiously on his body. This thing was undoubtedly very important to Gu Yuna, but she had given it to him, so he had to take good care of it. Chapter 232. Heaven Do Empire, Balik Kingdom, Fasno Province. As the granary of Fasno Province, Soto City was one of the most prosperous cities in the province. On this day, a handsome young man dressed in white walked over from Soto City. He had the temperament of an immortal. Is this Soto City? It looks pretty good. Lu Yuan nodded slowly as he looked at the buildings and streets around him. It couldn't be compared to Martial Soul City and Heaven Do Imperial City. However, Soto City was still considered a big city. It had everything that Lu Yuan needed. It was much better than Nodding City, where he grew up. Let's enter the city and take a look. Shrek Academy's recruitment is in the next few days. However, Shrek Academy should be outside the city. Let's find a place to stay in the city first. Lu Yuan pondered. He didn't know where Shrek Academy was outside the city, so it was more important to find a place to stay. Furthermore, he had stayed in the Great Star Do Forest for a year, and there weren't many people around the Lake of Life. He only saw Wang Qiu and Gu Yuna every day. He could talk to Di Tian and Bai Ji from time to time, but he didn't interact with many people every day. He hadn't seen such a prosperous city in a long time. He had to walk around more. Lu Yuan took the lead and stepped into Soto City. Long Xiaoyao's figure was hidden behind him. He followed behind Lu Yuan silently. "TSK, is this the famous Rose Hotel?" Lu Yuan curled his lips as he looked at the hotel that was as exquisite as a small castle. He was a little interested. This was a place where many interesting things happened. "Master, don't tell me you want to stay here?" Long Xiaoyao's figure suddenly appeared. He didn't startle anyone. "Why not?" Lu Yuan laughed as he asked. "But this seems to be a couple's hotel. You're single." Who said that single people can't stay in a couple's hotel? I'm going to stay here." Lu Yuan chortled as he walked forward. "Oh, by the way, Elder Long, I'll go in first. You can come in later. Otherwise, it'll be weird for the two of us to go in together." Lu Yuan seemed to have thought of something as he suddenly turned around and said, "Yes, my lord." Long Xiaoyao sighed faintly and followed behind him. He didn't know what his master was thinking, and his actions seemed a little difficult to understand. Stepping into the Rose Hotel, they were greeted with pink and white decorations, which gave them an ambiguous feeling. He walked to the front desk. "Young master, is there anything I can help you with?" The waiter saw that although Lu Yuan's clothes were low-key, they were actually made of very luxurious materials. Coupled with Lu Yuan's imposing temperament, he instantly determined that this must be a person of noble status. Immediately, a very amiable smile appeared on his face. "Get a room," Lu Yuan said indifferently. "All right." The waiter immediately registered, took out a key and handed it to Lu Yuan. There was a hint of ambiguity in his expression as he said, "Young master, do you need any special services? We have many good ones here, and I'm sure you'll be satisfied." The waiter seemed to have noticed that Lu Yuan was alone, so he secretly recommended this to Lu Yuan. "No need, I just want a room." Lu Yuan was a little embarrassed as he received the key. He turned around and was about to leave when a voice sounded from behind him. "Oh, there are still people who come to a couple's hotel in this day and age. Interesting, interesting." Lu Yuan turned around and saw that this person was about 1.8 meters tall. He had a head of blonde hair and was very handsome. His evil eyes were like Lu Yuan's, and he had double pupils. His left and right hands were hugging 2 gorgeously dressed girls. "Oh, is that Dai Mubai?" Looking at the evil eyes and blonde hair, and hearing the way they spoke, Lu Yuan didn't have to think too much to know who he had met. He then looked at the twins in this person's arms. TSK, it's definitely Dai Mubai. Oh, I really don't have as much fun as this brother. Looking at Dai Mubai, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Lu Yuan turned around, and Dai Mubai naturally saw Lu Yuan's face. Even with Dai Mubai's pride, he had to admit that the person in front of him was really handsome to the point that he was ashamed of his inferiority. Lu Yuan's unparalleled appearance and immortal-like temperament made Dai Mubai admit that the person in front of him was really handsome to the point that he felt ashamed of his inferiority. But such a handsome person actually came to a couple's hotel and didn't have a female companion. This was really strange. Could it be that his standards were too high? Wow, so handsome! Seeing Lu Yuan's appearance, the eyes of the twins in Dai Mubai's arms instantly lit up. Dai Mubai was already handsome enough, but Lu Yuan was on a higher level than Dai Mubai. Moreover, his body had a masculine aura, unlike some effeminate men who were full of femininity. This kind of man's attractiveness to women was not ordinary. You have polychoria like me? Looking at the polychoria in Lu Yuan's eyes, Dai Mubai became serious, which was rare for him. Polychoria was an innate special pupil, and such a person was born extraordinary, just like him. Coupled with Lu Yuan's temperament, Dai Mubai was sure that this person was definitely not ordinary. In his heart, he had some intentions of befriending him. Although Dai Mubai was arrogant, he also admired the truly strong. However, what Dai Mubai didn't know was that his polychoria was just a little strange, but Lu Yuan's polychoria had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Moreover, Lu Yuan and him were destined to have different standpoints. They were destined to fight to the death, because one was the prince of Xinluo, and the other was the disciple of the Pope of the Martial Soul Palace. He might even be the future Holy Son. It was basically impossible for them to be friends, not to mention that there was also Zhu Zhuqing. Thinking of Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Yuan seemed to sigh intentionally or unintentionally, and said, "Brother, you're really lucky to have two beautiful women accompanying you. It's a pity that my kitten isn't by my side." There seemed to be some regret and longing in his words. Kitten. Dai Mubai was stunned. This name. It seemed like this brother of his was also a person who liked to play. However, when he heard him mention his kitten, he had a strange feeling, as if there was something extra on his head. "I didn't expect you to be such an infatuated person, brother. However, I believe that you'll meet your kitten again one day." Although there was a strange feeling in his heart, Dai Mubai still said this sentence. "I also believe that there will be such a day, and it won't be too far away." Lu Yuan said plainly, but for some reason, there was an indescribable smile in his heart. This Dai Mubai was a little interesting. "Brother, take your time. We'll meet again at Shrek Academy." Lu Yuan laughed softly, turned around and went upstairs. "He knows that I'm from Shrek Academy? And from what he said, it seems like he wants to join Shrek Academy too." Looking at Lu Yuan's back, Dai Mubai fell into deep thought. Furthermore, for some reason, when he heard Lu Yuan mention his kitten, he felt as if his head had become heavier, as if something important had left him. What was going on? Chapter 233. So, this is Shrek Academy? Lu Yuan said softly as he looked at the dilapidated village in front of him. Everyone knew that Shrek Academy was poor, but when Lu Yuan personally came here, he realized that they were poor to a whole new level. There was a small wooden table in front of Shrek Academy, and there was an old man in front of the table. There was a small wooden box on the table, and it seemed like it was the place to pay the tuition fees. There were a few scattered people signing up in front of the wooden table. It seemed like Shrek Academy was really dismal, and there weren't many people signing up. It made sense. Before Tang San and the rest came to Shrek Academy, there were only 3 students in the entire academy. Furthermore, at this time, they shouldn't have received any new students in the past year. It wasn't strange for such a dismal scene to occur. There were only a few people, and there wasn't a need to maintain order. Lu Yuan didn't see Dai Mubai, but there was a fatty wandering around at the entrance. He had a head of red hair, and he had a blade of grass in his mouth. He looked very sloppy. His eyes were fixed on the only girl at the registration area, and he seemed to be drooling. There was no need for an introduction. Lu Yuan recognized him immediately. It was the evil fire grass chicken, Ma Hongjun. But he didn't know why they didn't send Dai Mubai to welcome the new students, but sent this guy instead. Although this guy wasn't serious and was a little lecherous, he didn't have any enmity with Lu Yuan, unlike Tang San and Dai Mubai. Therefore, Lu Yuan didn't want to deal with this fatty. Instead, it wasn't impossible to rope him in. Lu Yuan wasn't someone who liked to kill everyone with one move. Other than Dai Mubai and Tang San, Lu Yuan didn't plan to do anything to the other people in Shrek. After all, there wasn't any irreconcilable enmity between them. Finally, the people in front of him left. Lu Yuan walked forward and placed 10 gold soul coins into the wooden box. "Extend your left hand," an old voice sounded. Looking at the old man in front of him, Lu Yuan knew his identity. He was Li Yusong, and his martial soul was the dragon-patterned staff. He was a soul emperor. "It's better to pinch my right hand. I can't pinch my left hand," Lu Yuan said faintly. His left hand contained the palm bone of the demonic ape. It was impossible to feel the bones. "Is that so?" Li Yusong muttered, but still squeezed Lu Yuan's outstretched right hand. "Yes, it has developed very well. Its bones are very strong." Li Yusong couldn't help but exclaim. Lu Yuan's bones were the strongest among all the students he had ever taken in. He was probably even stronger than Dai Mubai. Release your martial spirit," Li Yusong said. Lu Yuan nodded, and his golden dragon martial soul instantly appeared in his body. A dragon's roar resounded, and a resplendent golden light sprinkled down. Golden scales began to crawl on Lu Yuan's hands and cheek. In the middle of his forehead, a diamond-shaped golden scale emitted a dazzling light. 3 soul rings, yellow, purple, and black, rose from Lu Yuan's body. 10,000-year soul rings? Li Yusong suddenly stood up with a face full of astonishment. He looked at Lu Yuan as if he were looking at a monster. Ma Hongjun, who was originally chewing on a blade of grass, opened his eyes wide and his mouth wide. He looked at Lu Yuan with an expression full of astonishment, as if his worldview had been turned upside down. Yellow, purple, and black. This guy was actually a soul elder. Furthermore, he had a 1,000-year second soul ring and a 10,000-year third soul ring. Was he still human? Li Yusong was stunned for a moment before he collected his thoughts. He looked at Lu Yuan with a burning gaze and asked, "Child, what's your name? What's your soul power rank?" Lu Yuan, rank 39 soul elder. Lu Yuan said indifferently. 11 years old, rank 39? Li Yusong unconsciously raised his voice, causing Ma Hongjun to be stupefied again. Rank 39? Ma Hongjun stared blankly at Lu Yuan. They were the same age, but he was already a rank 39 soul elder. He was only rank 24. There was actually a 15-rank difference between them. Ma Hongjun wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He had always been very proud of his talent and called himself a monster. But this guy in front of him had already surpassed the category of a monster. He should be called a monster. "Child, do you really want to join our Shrek Academy?" Li Yusong asked excitedly. "What, is there a problem?" Lu Yuan looked at Li Yusong with an indifferent expression. "No problem, no problem," Li Yusong hurriedly said. An 11-year-old rank 39 soul elder was a veritable monster. If such a monster joined Shrek Academy, he couldn't ask for anything more. To be able to recruit such an outstanding student, it seems like Flender will wake up laughing in his dreams. Although he didn't recognize Lu Yuan's martial soul, he could guess that it was a dragon. No matter what kind of dragon it was, as long as it had the word dragon in it, it definitely wouldn't be weak. Furthermore, the aura of Lu Yuan's martial soul was so strong that it was the most powerful he had ever seen. Even Dai Mubai's white tiger and Ma Hongjuan's evil phoenix couldn't compare to it. It definitely wouldn't be weaker than the blue lightning tyrant dragon. Li Yusong thought to himself. Fortunately, Lu Yuan didn't know what Li Yusong was thinking. Otherwise, he would have ridiculed him. What was a mere blue lightning tyrant dragon? How could it be compared to his golden dragon? Hongjun, come here. Take Lu Yuan directly to the fourth trial, Li Yusong said. Yes, teacher. Ma Hongjun stepped forward with his short legs, his round face smiling like a chrysanthemum. Lu Yuan, right? I'm Ma Hongjun. I'll take you to the fourth trial. Perhaps it was because Lu Yuan was too strong, or perhaps it was because he was surprised by Lu Yuan's soul rings, but Ma Hongjun was actually quite attentive to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan gave him a strange look. He didn't know what this fatty was thinking. He stepped forward and followed behind Ma Hongjun. Let me tell you, our assessment has a total of 4 stages. With your strength, you can directly skip the second and third stages, but you have to go through the 4th stage to pass, Ma Hongjun said as he walked. What kind of trial? Lu Yuan asked. The last trial is a real battle. The guard is a guy called Dai Mubai. His martial soul is the white tiger, and he's a rank 34 assault-type soul elder. He's 5 ranks lower than you, so he shouldn't be a match for you. As long as you defeat him, you can pass the trial. Defeat him? Lu Yuan's eyes flickered. Didn't the original book say that one could pass as long as they could last an incense stick's worth of time under Dai Mubai's hands? It was only later that Zhao Wuji saw Tang San and the other 3, and he was excited to see them, so he personally took action. According to the original rules, he should also be fighting Dai Mubai, but he only needed to last an incense stick's worth of time. What was this little fatty trying to do by lying? Lu Yuan looked at Ma Hongjun. He wanted to know what this little fatty was planning. He wanted him to fight Dai Mubai and defeat him. Could it be that Dai Mubai had provoked this little fatty? Chapter 234. Yeah, let me tell you, when you fight with Dai Mubai you better be more ruthless. This guy is not a good person, Ma Hongjun said. Oh? Why do you say that? Lu Yuan asked. Lu Yuan, you don't know, but this Dai Mubai bullies everyone in our Shrek Academy. Every day, he oppresses me and another student, making us suffer unspeakably. But he is too strong and we can't beat him. Only you can help us. Ma Hongjun was full of anger as he spoke, and his face was full of complaints towards Dai Mubai. Lu Yuan's expression was strange. Looking at the little fatty's expression, he thought, could it be that Dai Mubai didn't bring him along when he went shopping? That's possible. Then this little fatty felt indignant and wanted me to teach him a lesson. Oh, the teachers of the academy don't care? Lu Yuan asked. AI, don't mention it. Our teachers never care about these things. In the words of the teachers, if you are beaten, it is because you are not capable. If you are capable, you can fight back. Because of this guy Dai Mubai bullies us even more. Ma Hongjun said with a bitter face. Is it that excessive? Lu Yuan said. Yeah, brother Lu Yuan, you don't know, this Dai Mubai not only bullies us, but also uses his whore face to deceive the feelings of little girls everywhere. He is really vile. Brother Lu Yuan, you must give this kind of scum a good beating. It's best if you punch him twice in the face and make him go out to deceive little girls again. Ma Hongjun said hatefully, and there seemed to be a trace of jealousy in his tone. This is too excessive. Don't worry, I will teach him a good lesson. Treat it as helping you vent your anger. Lu Yuan nodded and said, Then thank you, brother Lu Yuan. Ma Hongjuan's face revealed a trace of a smile. Humph, despicable Boss Dai, you actually dare to snatch the girl I fancy. Isn't it just a whore face? Hee hee, today I want to see how your whore face will be beaten into a pig head. Ma Hongjuan's mind spun as he looked at Lu Yuan beside him and thought, but this Lu Yuan is even more handsome. But if he's handsome, then so be it. As long as he can help me beat up Boss Dai, it's fine. Hee hee, 1,000-year second ring, 10,000-year third ring, and a monster with a soul power as high as rank 39. I don't believe that you, Boss Dai, can beat him. Ma Hongjun secretly laughed in his heart. Looking at the smile on Ma Hongjuan's round face, Lu Yuan's lips also curled up slightly. It just so happened that he wanted to give Dai Mubai a good beating. With Ma Hongjuan's words, he could easily pass the blame to Dai Mubai after beating him up. He had to admit that it was very nice. Ma Hongjuan's assist came at the right time. At that time, he would let Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun fight each other. He would leave after beating them up. Anyway, it had nothing to do with him. With Ma Hongjun leading the way, the two of them quickly arrived at the last test. This was a small field. Dai Mubai was bored as he sat on a chair. Beside him, there was a burly man lying on a recliner and basking in the sun. Seeing that someone had arrived, Dai Mubai's gaze turned over. It's you. Dai Mubai's eyes were filled with surprise. You really came? Yes. Lu Yuan nodded. Seeing that the two of them seemed to know each other, Ma Hongjun panicked and hurriedly said. He skipped the second and third tests and directly came to the fourth test. According to the rules, Boss Dai, you should be the one to test him, right? Yes? Hearing that Lu Yuan skipped the second and third tests and directly came in, Dai Mubai's eyes narrowed. The person who was basking in the sun with his eyes closed also opened his eyes. Since it's like this, Xiao Bai, you go test him. The burly man said. Yes, Teacher Zhao. Dai Mubai replied. Teacher Zhao? The immovable deity Zhao Wuji? Seeing Zhao Wuji's figure, Lu Yuan's eyes flashed with a trace of fighting spirit. To him, Dai Mubai was a piece of cake, but Zhao Wuji was a rare opponent. It was a good opportunity for him to verify how much progress he had made in the past year. Hello, we meet again. I'm Dai Mubai. May I know your name? Dai Mubai said. Lu Yuan. Looking at Dai Mubai calmly, Lu Yuan said, there might be some impolite things happening later. Please don't take offense. Impolite things? Dai Mubai looked at Lu Yuan strangely. He didn't understand what he meant. You'll know when the battle ends, Lu Yuan said indifferently. Dai Mubai couldn't figure out Lu Yuan's intentions, so he shouted loudly. His martial soul instantly appeared in his body, and his body suddenly swelled up. His arms were covered with white fur, and his palms turned into tiger paws. The sharp claws on them emitted a yellow light, and a white tiger phantom appeared behind him. 2 yellow and 1 purple soul rings rose from Dai Mubai's body. Dai Mubai, Martial Soul White Tiger, Rank 34 Assault System Soul Elder. Boring people reporting their ranks again. Lu Yuan curled his lips. Just as he was about to speak, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Start of check-in. Time limit, 5 minutes. Countdown begins. It's finally starting, Lu Yuan said inwardly. Immediately after, he took a step forward. The pressure of the golden dragon filled the air, and a loud dragon roar sounded. The golden dragon martial soul instantly appeared in his body, and the golden dragon claws flickered with a dazzling cold light. The yellow, purple, and black soul rings rippled around Lu Yuan's body. Lu Yuan, Martial Soul Golden Dragon, Rank 39 Assault System Soul Elder. Lu Yuan took a step forward and his clear voice sounded. A 10,000-year soul ring? Dai Mubai's face was immediately filled with shock. How was this possible? Rank 39? Zhao Wuji crawled up in an instant. When he felt the pressure in the air and the 3 gorgeous soul rings on Lu Yuan's body, he also fell into shock. Following that, he went completely wild with joy. This was a true monster. The battle has begun. Lu Yuan stomped his foot on the ground, and with a loud bang, a large crater was formed where his foot landed. The loud noise pulled the two of them back to reality from their shock. Lu Yuan was extremely fast. His golden dragon claws clenched into fists, and they carried an intense might. White Tiger's shield. Dai Mubai was startled. His first soul ring suddenly lit up, and the White Tiger's shield increased all of his attributes by 50%. Seeing that Lu Yuan didn't even use a soul skill, Dai Mubai heaved a sigh of relief. Even if the amplification of a 10,000-year soul ring was great, if he didn't use a soul skill and only relied on strength, he wouldn't be afraid with the White Tiger's shield activated. Seeing this, Dai Mubai also clenched his fist and punched towards Lu Yuan. The two fists collided, and with a kacha sound, Dai Mubai's tiger claws let out a crisp sound. They should have been misaligned. Lu Yuan's fist didn't slow down at all, and directly smashed into Dai Mubai's body. Even with the White Tiger's shield, Dai Mubai was still sent flying more than 10 meters by the punch, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Chapter 235. One punch, just one punch, and Dai Mubai was sent flying by Lu Yuan. Moreover, Dai Mubai was using his first soul skill, White Tiger Shield. Looking at Dai Mubai, who was not far away, Lu Yuan shook his head. Dai Mubai was too weak. He didn't even use his full strength, and Dai Mubai couldn't even block one punch. However, Lu Yuan didn't think about it. His strength in his normal state had reached 35,000 kilograms. After the martial soul possession, it was even more powerful. It was at least 40,000 kilograms. Even if he didn't use his full strength, Dai Mubai wouldn't be able to block this punch. Damn! Ma Hongjuan's mouth was wide open. How could this be called a competition? Just one punch and Dai Mubai was defeated. Was this the strength of a 10,000-year three-ring monster? Looking at Lu Yuan, who was like a banished immortal, Ma Hongjun swallowed his saliva. This guy couldn't be provoked. He was too terrifying. Zhao Wuji's eyes were also wide open. Dai Mubai's martial soul was the White Tiger, and his soul power was rank 34. He was also a rare genius, but he only used one punch. Dai Mubai struggled to stand up. Beast martial souls, especially assault-type beast martial souls, generally had good physiques and wouldn't be so easily injured. Lu Yuan only used a casual punch and didn't use his full strength. Dai Mubai first counteracted some of the force with a punch and then was hit in the chest. Although he spat out a mouthful of blood, it was only a broken rib. It wasn't a serious injury. Therefore, he was still able to stand up. However, Dai Mubai's right fist was drooping. That was because his wrist was broken by Lu Yuan's punch. He would need to rest for a few days to recover. However, Dai Mubai was courting death. He actually dared to fight with him. The ignorant were truly fearless. Are you still not going to admit defeat? Seeing that Dai Mubai had stood up, Lu Yuan's body moved at lightning speed and threw a punch at Dai Mubai's face. Wait, I admit defeat. Dai Mubai hurriedly shouted when he saw Lu Yuan's fist coming at him. The punch just now made him completely aware of the gap between him and Lu Yuan. Now, he didn't dare to fight with Lu Yuan. Boom! Lu Yuan's fist collided with Dai Mubai's cheek. In an instant, the left side of Dai Mubai's face was swollen and covered with bruises. Sorry, you're one step too late. He had held back most of his strength in this punch. Although it didn't cause much damage, it was easy for him to swell up his face. Dai Mubai widened his eyes and took a few steps back to stabilize himself. He looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of anger in his eyes. How dare he hit his face? I heard that you like to take advantage of your position to bully others. You bully men and women in the academy and maliciously oppress your fellow students. Moreover, you often use your flowery words to deceive the feelings of young girls? Looking at Dai Mubai's swollen face, Lu Yuan said indifferently. What? Dai Mubai was stunned. Most of his anger from being slapped in the face by Lu Yuan had dissipated. He asked, "What did you say? When did I bully people and bully my classmates? Moreover, I have always been willing with those women. When did I bully the feelings of little girls?" "Is that so?" Lu Yuan frowned and said, "That Ma Hongjun said that you bully him and another student in the academy all day long. You even used your face to deceive the feelings of little girls. He asked me to teach you a lesson. Could it be false?" Lu Yuan said it righteously as if it was all because of Ma Hongjun. Sure enough, after hearing Lu Yuan's words, Dai Mubai was instantly furious. "What? Ma Hongjun told you that and taught you a lesson?" Dai Mubai lowered his voice and squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. His eyes flashed with a cold light. "Damn you, fatty! I'll remember you!" Dai Mubai cursed in his heart. He turned around and looked at Lu Yuan. The anger in his eyes had disappeared and was replaced by Ma Hongjun. "Lu Yuan, you were deceived by Ma Hongjun," Dai Mubai said. "What?" Lu Yuan frowned and said, "At that time, what Ma Hongjun said was true. The kind of complaint that a bully would make to his bully was definitely not fake. I could feel it." Hearing this, Dai Mubai's mouth twitched and said, "To tell you the truth, once I went to Soto City to relax with that fatty. At that time, we found a beautiful girl at the same time. You also know that I'm much more handsome than Ma Hongjun. In the end, that girl left with me. I suspect that this fatty has been holding a grudge in his heart, but he's no match for me. That's why he found you." "Is that so?" Lu Yuan pondered for a moment and said, "That's possible. Ma Hongjun even specifically asked me to punch your face a few times. Could it be because of this?" Creak. Dai Mubai clenched his left fist tightly. As for why he didn't clench his right fist, it was because his right hand was fractured. "Specifically punching my face a few times. Damn you, fatty! Just you wait." Dai Mubai glared at Ma Hongjun fiercely, but Ma Hongjun's figure had already disappeared from where he stood. Sure. Just as the two of them were talking, a voice sounded. Lu Yuan turned around and saw that it was the immovable wisdom monarch, Zhao Wuji. His martial soul was the Herculean diamond bear. He was a rank 76 soul sage. "Another real monster has come. Little monster, I see that you're very strong. Are you interested in playing with me?" Zhao Wuji looked at Lu Yuan. Just now, Lu Yuan's punch was very powerful. With one look, he could tell that Lu Yuan was walking the path of strength. This happened to be the same type as him, so Zhao Wuji was instantly excited. "Since teacher is interested, I can't not accompany you." Lu Yuan was shocked. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit as he looked at Zhao Wuji. Very good. Mubai, you can go and recuperate first. Leave this to the two of us." Zhao Wuji said, "Teacher Zhao, I'm fine. I want to see Brother Lu's true strength." Just now, he was sent flying by Lu Yuan's punch. How could Dai Mubai not be curious about Lu Yuan's true strength? "Then you can sit to the side." Zhao Wuji waved his hand. "Okay." Dai Mubai supported his right hand with his left hand and sat on a chair not far away. He felt a little frustrated. He was defeated by someone 3 years younger than him. With his arrogant personality, he felt very uncomfortable. On one hand, he wanted to see Lu Yuan's true strength. On the other hand, he wanted to see Lu Yuan's miserable appearance. That way, he would feel a little better. Lu Yuan could guess a thing or two about Dai Mubai's thought. However, his thoughts were destined to fail. With Lu Yuan's current strength, he wasn't a match for Zhao Wuji. However, he wasn't weaker than the Soul Emperor. Even if he wasn't a match for the Soul Emperor, he wouldn't lose too badly. After all, he was very fast. Furthermore, he had Gu Yuna's reverse scale. If he wore it, Zhao Wuji really wouldn't be able to hurt him. With a flash of light, the golden dragon spear appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. Chapter 236. What a good spear! Zhao Wuji couldn't help but let loose a soft cry of surprise at the sight of the golden dragon spear in Lu Yuan's hand. With his current level of eyesight, he could tell that the golden spear in Lu Yuan's hand was no ordinary spear. It's a good spear. Lu Yuan held the golden dragon spear diagonally and pointed the tip to the ground. The golden dragon spear was 3 meters long. If one held one end like an ordinary spear, it would be a little too long. However, if one held the middle, it would be just right. It had been more than a year since he obtained the golden dragon spear, and Lu Yuan had already figured out the most suitable way to use it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to reach the realm of spear intent. One had to know that one had to become one with the spear in order to comprehend spear intent. Zhao Wuji was a rank 76 soul sage, and was considered the opponent with the highest soul power that Lu Yuan had faced over the years. Lu Yuan wouldn't underestimate him at all. Little monster, no matter the outcome of this battle, you've already been accepted by our academy. Let me introduce myself. I'm Zhao Wuji, and my martial soul is the Herculean Vajra Bear. I'm a rank 76 soul sage. Zhao Wuji wanted to see the change in Lu Yuan's expression as he spoke. However, to Zhao Wuji's surprise, Lu Yuan didn't seem to be affected at all after hearing Zhao Wuji's words. Instead, he seemed to be more interested. Zhao Wuji nodded in his heart. This was what a true genius should have. He definitely wasn't afraid of opponents who were of a higher rank than him. Instead, he had the courage to challenge them. Back in the day, Zhao Wuji was like a demon king on the continent. He didn't have any taboos when he did things, and he didn't have a good reputation even now. It was only because he had been teaching students in Shrek Academy that his temper had been toned down a little. He admired Lu Yuan's fearless personality the most. This was the character that an assault type should have. Zhao Wuji took out an incense stick out of nowhere and said, "If you can last for an incense stick's worth of time or force me to use my 5th soul skill, then you win." As he spoke, he touched the tip of the stick of incense, and it instantly lit up. "Is that so?" Lu Yuan squinted his eyes. Zhao Wuji was only comparable to a soul emperor after using his first 4 soul skills. Such strength couldn't do anything to him. "I'll win this battle," Lu Yuan said plainly, and his tone was full of confidence. "You're too arrogant." Dai Mubai shook his head slightly. In his opinion, while Lu Yuan was strong, it would be too difficult for him to last an incense stick's worth of time against Zhao Wuji. Even if Zhao Wuji only used his first 4 soul skills, he was still equivalent to a soul emperor. He didn't believe that Lu Yuan was a match for him. No matter how monstrous Lu Yuan was, he was still only a rank 39 soul exalt. Even a 10,000-year soul ring wasn't enough to bridge the gap between them. Just as Dai Mubai spoke, another 2 people sneaked over from a distance and watched from afar. "Fatty, are you serious? Boss Dai's face is swollen?" a soft voice asked. "Of course. You don't know how strong that Lu Yuan is, little Ao. He was able to send Boss Dai flying with a single punch even after he used the White Tiger's armor. I'm afraid Lu Yuan is far stronger than a soul exalt. He might even be able to fight a soul king," Ma Hongjun said. "Then I'll have to take a good look. His battle with teacher Zhao will definitely be very exciting," the soft voice said again. "That's right. This battle is very rare," Ma Hongjun said. In the middle of the field, Lu Yuan held his golden dragon spear, and his aura continued to surge. His golden dragon spear was instantly attached to his body. His golden dragon bloodline and clear breath sutra circulated at the same time. An intense pressure spread out, and his yellow, purple, and black soul rings flickered with a dazzling light. What a strong martial soul pressure! This little monster's martial soul must be very powerful. Zhao Wuji raised his eyebrows when he felt the pressure from Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear. The martial soul's pressure had an effect on him. It was a little too frightening. He was a rank 76 soul sage, and this little monster was only a rank 39 soul elder. Zhao Wuji didn't know that Lu Yuan's martial soul was a golden dragon. He was a wandering cultivator and didn't know much. It wasn't just him. Flender and the others were the same. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let Master Huo Yuhao be in charge of Shrek's 7 monsters cultivation. They didn't know much about it. Their so-called teaching method was to fight, then fight in the soul dueling arena. There was nothing else. It was obvious that their teaching methods were rather crude. They were able to nurture talents not because their teaching standards were high, but because the students themselves were rare geniuses. "I'm coming, Teacher Zhao," Lu Yuan said. He rushed forward and stabbed his golden dragon spear at Zhao Wuji. "Good fellow," Zhao Wuji laughed. His martial soul fused with his body, and his entire body suddenly grew a foot taller. His 2 arms were filled with majestic muscles and 3 soul rings, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black and black, rippled beneath Zhao Wuji's body. A huge brown bear appeared behind him. The Herculean King Kong bear was also a top-tier martial soul. Although it couldn't be compared to the dark golden Terraclaw bear, it wasn't much weaker than Dai Mubai's white tiger. At the sight of Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear, Zhao Wuji instinctively evaded the tip of the spear and slapped his palm toward Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan didn't dodge. He passed the golden dragon spear to his left hand and clenched his right hand into a fist. Bang! The fist and palm collided, and a wave of air was created. Lu Yuan took a few steps back before he could stabilize himself. Zhao Wuji, on the other hand, retreated more than 10 meters before he finally stopped. It was important to note that Lu Yuan's physical strength was around 35,000 kilograms under normal circumstances. Now that he had his martial soul and his bloodline power, his physical strength had definitely exceeded 40,000 kilograms. Such strength was already comparable to an assault-type soul sage. After all, the Golden Dragon was an ultimate power. It was best at strength. Wow! Ma Hongjun opened his mouth wide. He didn't expect Lu Yuan to be slightly stronger than him. How was this possible? Hiss! Beside him, Oscar sucked in a cold breath. This is impossible. Dai Mubai's eyes were filled with astonishment. Lu Yuan was stronger than Teacher Zhao. How was this possible? Zhao Wuji stabilized himself, and there was a look of astonishment in his eyes. Although he didn't use his full strength, he was still in disbelief that he was suppressed by Lu Yuan. What an interesting little monster! Zhao Wuji narrowed his eyes, but he was a lot more serious. With Lu Yuan's strength, he could really lose if he was careless. Lu Yuan held his golden dragon spear in his left hand, but there was no joy in his eyes. Although he was strong, Zhao Wuji wasn't weak either. That wasn't Zhao Wuji's full strength. Furthermore, a soul master's strength wasn't just based on strength. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.